grid is set. We're ready for the first part. It's a 600-kilometre race weekend, 300 Ks about to unfold here now, and the genuine threat of some rain as well. Super job by the Kiwis in the top 10 shootout. It was thrilling, the battle between McLaughlin and Shane Van Gisbergen. Van Gisbergen getting the job done, but it's been by the narrowest of margins. Even in the qualifying session itself, as they fought for a spot in the Armour All shootout, it was so close across the entire field. Winterbottom, that's important for his championship to be starting on the second row. Corey Parker there in the starter's box. You know him from the National Rugby League. Lincoln McFadden, a Castrol customer, up there as well, along with Damien White, as we take a look at the Fuso starting grid. Front row, it's all Kiwi, the combination in terms of primary drivers, but it's the co-drivers in action. First up, Jonathan Webb, and of course the Frenchman, Alex Premat. The team that lead the Pertec Enduro Cup, Mark Winterbottom and Steve Owen. Great work by Rick Kelly in qualifying. Another standout performance for James Moffat. He'll be leaving Nissan at the end of the year. Taz Douglas, perfect fit for the Gold Coast race. He's been for a surf this morning, now focused on his motor racing here. Paul Dumbrell did a brilliant job at the mountain, one of the standout co-drivers. Tim Slade, Tony D'Alberto, they know how to win the trophy here. They know how to win the surfboards. Nick Percat, Oliver Gavin, very experienced combination with Oliver Gavin, and they've finished on the podium at the mountain before those two. We welcome back James Courtney from those rib injuries. Jack Perkins has been in stellar form, subbing for him since the Sydney Motorsport Park round in August. Lots of question marks about Marcus Ambrose and his future, given that we now know the full-time driver lineup at DJR Team Penske. Sebastian Bourdais, what a stellar career he's had in open wheelers. He also knows how to win here in a V8 supercar. Russell Ingall, back to the future. He steps in to join Cameron Waters in that car while Chaz Mostert recovers. Alex Buncombe alongside Todd Kelly in car number 7. Dale Wood is partnered by the rookie Macaulay Jones, his first ever race meeting in a V8 supercar on the streets of Surface Paradise. And the Wendy's Erebus Racing entry, Ash Walsh and Jack LeBrock. Big raps on Jack LeBrock, and Ash Walsh, as he was at Bathurst in that lead driver capacity until 2015. He's basically been the co-driver. A lot of responsibility for him. Jono Webb, not a lot of race miles in 2015, but when it counts, he steps up and does a super job. He's done that right throughout this endurance campaign. He and Shane Van Gisbergen, third in the Enduro Cup point score, and they are starting the Saturday race from the best possible position in that Darrell Lee Commodore. Great atmosphere here. Here's Steve Owen. We recap the championship standings for you. Now, this is for the driver's title. So Craig Lowndes just 399 behind Mark Winterbottom after the Bathurst 1000. David Reynolds very much in the mix. We now know, of course, that Mostert is out of the game. He's dropped to 4th on the ladder. The start is all important, as you know, Murph.
Yeah, it is, and Jeff Slater just lined up Jonathan Webb. What an amazing job Shane Van Gisbergen did to grab his first overall pole position for 2015. And beside him, Scotty McLaughlin, that came very, very close. It looked like he might grab the pole. This is going to be an absolute cracker. We know how hard it is to get into turn 1. The chicane down there on the first lap creates all sorts of issues, but this is going to be enormous. The start will be critical for Jonathan Webb.
It's a staggered one-by-one grid here. It's a blind approach. It's magnetic concrete on the outside of that first chicane. Everybody's on a hard tyre, and every driver is a co-driver. The party on the streets of Surface Paradise is about to hit top gear. First race of the weekend, set to go. Nice start by Jono Webb. Textbook. Owen under a bit of pressure from the Nissan. The Volvo slots into second as they run down to turn 1 for the first time. Look at the battle between the Nissan and the Pepsi Max Falcon. Who'll yield? Taz Douglas diving up the inside there. Red Bull cars take evasive action. So's the Freightliner Commodore. Stephen Richards that had to get out of the way down there with the Red Bull Holden. Kando goes underneath him down at turn 4. Steve Owen didn't get away particularly well, and David Russell was able to immediately apply pressure into Jack Daniels' entry. It's Webb, Prema, Russell, Owen, Douglas, who had to straight line the first chicane. On board with Russell Ingall now. sits in position 15 behind Jack Perkins. Oh, contact there between Will Davison and Russell Ingall. The Penrite Mercedes barges his way through. And of course, it's his brother Alex at the wheel there at present. I should make that clear. So the Erebus entry making its way through. Good job, Alex Davison.
Andrew Jones had a look for a moment up the inside of Warren Luff at turn 11 as well. Good margin here for Webb. He's got 0.6 of a second on Prema. Russell in third, then Steve Owen in Mark Winterbottom's car. In fifth, it's Taz Douglas. Sixth is Paul Dumbrell, then Dean Canto, Stephen Richards, Tony D'Alberto, and Oliver Gavin is in the 10th position, car number 222. This is the Frenchman Prema. Spoke to him on the grid. Stalking the race leader. He's actually made a little bit of ground just in this last half a lap or so. He's got the margin back down to 0.4 of a second.
Who's looking good as well, Taz Douglas in the 99 ahead of Paul Dumbrell and chasing Steve Owen.
For all of the interesting question marks that were raised up and down the pit paddock and in the lane in the recent past, would anybody be game to run a soft tyre, take it off, and then turn them around later in the race? Or would somebody start a primary driver? Everybody is banked for pretty much a standard play here. They've all installed their co-drivers. They want to get that first mandatory minimum 34 laps out of the way for those guys. And then we'll see primary drivers battle it out in stints 2 and 3. Compulsory stops, 2 of them in this race, 3-segment race minimum. And there's a 100% probability of the safety car.
Brenner's dialed in here, some nice sectors popping up in the Volvo. He trails by 0.3, and he was definitely faster on that last lap. So Jono Webb leads from Alex Prema, David Russell in the Nissan, then Steve Owen. You're watching Taz Douglas come through here now in the 99 Nissan, ahead of Paul Dumbrell, then Dean Canto, Stephen Richards, Tony D'Alberto. Oliver Gavin completes the 10 here. Jack Perkins on Andrew Jones. 13th place.
It takes right away down there. That was discussed in the drivers' briefing last night, that if you're on the traditional race line or if you have an edge over the car that you're racing, the car in front has the right of way, as does the racing line. Andrew Jones just locked up briefly at turn 11 on the approach there. Much happier with the Team VOC entry year on year. Marcus Ambrose, car number 17, in 17th position for Xbox. He's right behind his old teammate Russell Ingall at the moment. Just rattling on the back of Alex Davison's car, James Courtney. Replay of the race start. Good leap away there for Webb. You can see that Owen was having a real battle just getting away, and that immediately gave an incentive to car out of position 4 here, which was David Russell. See, David immediately gets up alongside the Ford on the run down towards the first chicane. Nice, clear, easy run for the first 2 in the queue. And look at Taz Douglas in the green and white Nissan. Realised that that gap had completely diminished. And in fact, it was side-by-side action as you pick Rusty for the Red Bull cars. So therefore, Richards had to evade. This is Ingall. Coming up on the back here of Ambrose. Completely blind approach into this right-hander, cold tyres and brakes in relative terms, and trying to figure out a way to funnel all these cars through this incredibly tight bit of racetrack.
Great start by Russell Ingall. Damage here for car 1, Paul Dumbrell. They're our defending Pertec Enduro Cup champions. That car's in trouble.
In 8th at the moment. Race control have noted that. So this is not in the plan. So I can hear conversation going on with car 99 as well, with Taz Douglas. So I wonder whether he was involved. He's talking about being drilled in the rear corner by someone. Doesn't mean it's this incident, it could be something else. There's lots of them around here. Well, they'll be reacting at the Red Bull pit here. They're getting him in. So it is something separate. So it's Canto and Dumbrell. Awkward moment for them and a weird touch up at turn 11. Okay, so there's more going on in the background. Here's the other shot. So something also happened with Taz Douglas because he was complaining bitterly on the radio. So that secondary little touch did some damage there too. So this is what happened to Taz. Okay, so it did involve car 1, but in a different sequence. So that'll be the reason why Canto got the incentive to be closer. This is down at turn 4 and rotated, so that's why he was lighting up the radio.
Car 1 limping its way back. The 9 of Alex Davison moves by, or tries to. Look at the bunch up of cars behind him. Andrew Jones there. Russell Ingall as well, who's looked speedy in these opening laps. Great start by Ingall.
So they're going to have to attend to the broken splitter and replace that, check those mounts. Might also have some geometry damage in the front left-hand corner of that car as well. 0.6 of a second, the gap from Webb to Prema. Dumbrell's in the pit lane.
Wonder what the view in race control will be of the incidents. The 2 that we've seen so far. Was Canto far enough up?
Yeah, mate, we'll try and pick this up. Guys, get some tape out of that box. Let's have a quick look, please.
We're going to leave it in place and just try and secure
If you
it.
can pull it out of where it's from, you, man. It might be on the...
Oh, no, they are going to plug it off.
Okay, let's get it off. So I know how long we got.
They'll be watching on their tracking device precisely where the field is at the moment. And they're going to go a lap down.
Yeah, mate, the splitter's going on now.
Leader's
Yeah,
coming
mate,
back
going.
onto the front straight.
Okay, guys. As long as we get 3, but get ready to put some tape on that left-hand corner, please.
So there's the lap down critically for car 1.
Just get 3 bolts in the front, please. Get the 3 bolts in the front, please.
This car had damage on the left rear from contact at turn 3 yesterday as well. So all the mounts will be bent and crippled on this car as well for that front splitter. You hear that field, just see the field roaring through in the background.
Get a bolt in here. Yeah, mate, well, let's get 2 bolts
Dave
in the
Reynolds,
front. Just get them a few
You would have
seconds.
seen the replay with Jamie Winkup and Dean Canto. Your thoughts?
It's Paul Dumbrell, isn't it?
Sorry, yeah, Paul Dumbrell.
It looks like Paul's turned the Nissan around and got some damage, and then obviously struggled to pull it up for the next corner, and Dean tried to take the advantage, and they've come together.
Thanks, Dave.
No worries.
So it's Jonathan Webb still leading the way early in race 1 of the Castrol Gold Coast 600 from Alex Prema. The gap is now 1.1 seconds, so Webb has settled into a rhythm here now and has built a gap of just over a second. David Russell in 3rd place in the Nissan Altima, car 15. Then Steve Owen and Dean Canto rounds out the 5. Car 7 there, the car sales entry. Being driven right now by Alex Buncombe, to be shared by the series regular Todd Kelly. And that car is presently 18th in the order. Just awesome. Macaulay Jones in the mix there in car 21. A rookie. He's raced here before in other classes, but it's his first V8 Supercars weekend here, driving with Dale Wood. Sebastian Bourdais knows how to win in a V8 Supercar, knows how to win in a champ car here. Great signing by Charlie Schwerkolt and the team from Preston Hire to join Lee Holdsworth throughout all 3 endurance races.
Been playing pretend weatherman, Rusty, just looking out the window trying to figure out whether or not we are in fact going to see some action. It feels like it. The light's very low out there at the moment. You can sense it in our area. You can even see it from these cars down towards the south and the southwest, which is where the weather's coming from at the moment. It's very, very dark. There was the potential for light showers today. It's very muggy and warm out there on the grid before. If we do get a sprinkle of rain, that will liven things up enormously. Webb, 1.3 seconds over Prema, then Russell. Good start for David, then Owen, Canto. Got involved in the fisticuff at the other end of the racetrack. And then Tony D'Alberto, Oliver Gavin, all straight ahead there for car number 3. So Carl Reindler, who also had a little bit of a battle on his hands at Bathurst a few weeks ago, just in the wars down there at the chicane. Rihanna?
Jamie Whincup, it looks like they're about to bring Paul Dumbrell into the garage. This is a disaster start for your race.
Yeah, can't take a trick at the moment. It was all going on that lap. Paul had a lunge at Taz, and then Dean's had a lunge at him down the bottom. Not sure whose fault it was. I don't think it was anyone's fault. It's pretty tight around here. So now, unfortunately, we can't get the splitter fitted. So, yeah, we're going to get our couple of laps. Not our day, but always tomorrow.
Thanks, Jamie.
With the exception of practice 4, those guys have not been out of the top 10 all weekend. Shame for Paul Dumbrell and Jamie Whincup. It's Jono Webb who leads the way from Alex Prema and David Russell early in race 1 of the Gold Coast 600.
By bringing that car into the garage gives them the opportunity to get it up on jacks and then have more people be able to work on the car. So the rule is when they're in the pit lane, maximum 8 people plus a driver assist can help that cause. But by dragging it into the garage, that allows them to swamp the car with more expertise. But it'll be the mountings for that splitter that are giving them grief there at the moment. But the fact of the matter is they're now laps out of this game, and that means that everything after that just becomes a test session.
Chad Nailon also with us in the commentary box here. Another standout, I thought, given the damage earlier in the weekend. Oliver Gavin up to 7th in car 222.
Goes to show you the great job that Nick Percat did in qualifying. Just missed out the top 10 shootout when Lowndes put in a very late call. How good is this watching Ingle in the Pepsi car? Actually was fighting with his old drive on the opening lap right in behind car 22, which was just a bizarre set of circumstances. And still waiting to see how to play out when we get the walking wounded into cars 22 and 17.
He made a super start though, Russell, didn't he? He was brilliant, as we saw on the replay there.
As he said on the grid, he's okay at racing. That's why they want to get him onto that grid. Don't put Cameron Waters in a situation where he can get himself into trouble. Get Ingle into that car, watch him pick up some spots, and hopefully we'll get some clear racetrack for Cameron Waters to just put his eyes down and tick off some fast laps.
Warren Luff driving car 2 here, in behind Stephen Richards. Back in the day, Wazza was in the Red Bull car with Craig Lowndes, and they were the inaugural winners of the Pertec Enduro Cup. But Warren's now been partnering Garth Tander, and they did a super job, those guys, to work their way into contention when it mattered at Bathurst.
Everyone's driven with everyone. It's like showing up to a party full of your ex-girlfriends here this weekend at the moment on the Gold Coast. But everyone in this field seems to have shared a car with someone else at some point. And another interesting combination, you've got Richards, who took Luff's drive, fighting with Luff on the racetrack right now, and Oliver Gavin, a man who's really had limited experience here, only run a couple of years here in the past, doing a fantastic job. He's made that small mistake, as you mentioned earlier in practice, but the good news was for Lucas Dumbrell, it was the left-hand side of the car that went in. They are almost flush out of spares for the right-hand side on cars 3 and 222, and this is close through the Castro Ledge hairpin.
Barry Hay, the team boss at LD Motorsport, said at the beginning of the weekend, you watch this car, we've got a few new bits in it. He goes, it will be a rocket ship. Now, it was a setback, what happened in practice, but they have absolutely rebounded from that. And Gavin, who's been a star at the Le Mans 24-hour and in sports car racing, he's done a super job. Let's not forget those guys with Walkinshaw Racing were on the podium at Bathurst last year.
And to be honest, they would have played a much bigger factor in Bathurst a couple of weeks ago had they not been caught up in an accident at Forest Elbow, which really ruined the race for car 222. Richards pouring on this pressure now with Warren Luff. Just can't seem to find a way through. If he can get a good exit out of the beach chicane, maybe he can run it up the inside at turn 11. Luff slid wide, and we're going to have a post-race investigation for that moment between Dumbrell and also Taz Douglas. It's no point giving a drive-through penalty to a car that's 6 laps down. So that probably makes a lot of sense.
This battle continues here. Richards looking aggressive. Heard from race control that the incident between car 1, Paul Dumbrell, and 99, Taz Douglas, is under investigation, a post-race investigation. And it's a bit of a seesaw up front. Jonathan Webb still leads the way, but Alex Prema's gradually started to eat away the 1 second advantage he had. It's now down to 0.5, so Prema pressing on in the Volvo. You're watching the battle here between Warren Luff and Stephen Richards. It's the battle for 8th place.
And Luke Yulden's not terribly far behind that, just keeping a bit of an eye on things there as well in that 10th spot in the Freightliner entry. Here's Alex Buncombe in car number 7, Dean Fiore car number 23, so the 2 Nissans align astern in 18th and 19th, and then followed by Taz Douglas in 99, so in fact 3 of them in a row there. And the other thing is, pretty clean start to the race, Greg. relatively quiet by Gold Coast standards.
Copy that, mate. Copy that. We'll speak to them next door and see how nice they are.
And there's a little bit of flexibility in the way in which this race can be run, but the real trick will be to try and keep these guys going. If they're running clean and they've got good pace, to keep going and use all of the available fuel window here, run the cars right through their range, which off the start of the race could be as much as about 38 or 39 laps. And that also ticks the minimum requirement for the co-driver. So no need to jump the co-driver out of the car unnecessarily, because all it does is make for longer stints on the subsequent set of tyres, and everyone will be looking to be racy on the soft tyre when they deploy it later in the race, and they want to keep that stint as short as they can.
Scotty Mack, you're just checking out your heart rate there. Alex doing an awesome job. He's just starting to close in on the back of Jono.
Yeah, I think we got both cars are pretty fast, so we're pulling away from the guys behind us, but obviously a long way to go. But you know, it looks good. So it's important though. We've got to make sure our car's good on the soft tyre as well. And yeah, so see how we go.
He's a pro. We know he's can do anything. He's been here a long time. He's raced at this track before too, Alex Prema. He's in a pretty good position, but Jono Webb's in a fairly similar position as well. The two of them have got a lot of experience.
Yeah, they've both been pretty standouts this whole Enduro campaign, I reckon. But it's good to see them go and have a go. But I'm sure when me and Shane get out there, we're going to even have a harder go. So it'll be fun and just see how we go. But it's good to have two Kiwis up there and All Blacks tonight. It's all going good.
Oh, don't go too far.
Nah, it's good.
Shane Van Gisbergen and Scotty McLaughlin, he was just chatting to Murph and just pumping up the fact that the All Blacks are playing tonight, which I'm sure that you're excited for. Jonathan Webb, nice clean start, and just Alex Prema just starting to creep away at that gap.
Yeah, no, it's good for the Kiwis, both of us up the front, but Alex is very fast, so yeah, hopefully we can beat the French again.
I assume from a rugby person that that's a reference to tonight's game or something, but it's important that everyone is thinking about the soft tyres towards the end of the race.
Yeah, definitely, and even if we put them on in the middle, we're not too sure. Like, I think there'll be a few people doing it, then running around with the tyres circulating them, so I think that's what we're going to do, but we'll see.
Thanks, Shane.
All right.
Hey, RD, the guys are swarming all over this thing, and I know how important the team's championship is to you. So, but you also got to manage that car on the track as well, so just a bit of an idea of what's going on here now.
Yeah, we're just trying to make sure we get running in time to do enough laps to be classified at the end of the day. It's disappointing. That's what happens when you qualify in the wrong place at this joint, and we got to make the best of it now.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's different racing mid-pack to out the front, so different skill set and real easy to get a blood nose.
6 second gap between the first two cars and the next ones. We should have been in that leading group. If we qualified properly, we would have been.
Yeah, knock-on effect, but you've got to run the race you're given.
It's a long way to go. We'll look after Lansing.
Yeah, that's a good point.
2014 Bathurst winner Paul Morris with us in commentary, just as he was in Bathurst. Good to get his insights, chatting with Roland Dane there, who sounds upset, a little frustrated that this car is not mixing it right now with Jonathan Webb. And Alex Prema up in front. He is battling away Stephen Richards in 9th spot, chasing Warren Luff.
Interesting exchange here between car number 99 with Taz Douglas at the helm and a young rookie, just turned 21, Macaulay Jones. And in the end, they managed to separate themselves down through there. Stephen Richards got a busy run going there at the moment, just having this big battle with Warren Luff, trying to find a gap. It's not an easy thing to try and produce around here.
Jonathan Webb leading the way by 1.1 seconds now over Alex Prema. So Chad Nailon again, Jono just sort of lets things reset. A shame for these guys. They've lost a ton of laps here, haven't they?
It's pretty much summed up their Pertec Endurance Cup. They haven't had a clean run in any of the 3 races. Compare that to the last couple of years when they've been almost untouchable. They will go out as our outgoing Pertec Endurance Cup holders. They dropped it down in qualifying at Bathurst before it was quite ready. Paul Mark Dutton cops a door in the back of the head. Look how shiny these cars are getting, and lights coming onto the cars as well. It's seriously dark out there.
Well, to your point, Neil mentioned it a couple of laps ago in relation to the weather. DJR Team Penske said on the opening lap there is weather on the way, so everyone keeping an eye on the radars in those pit bunkers at the moment. Good sectors from Alex Davison popping up as well. He's in 12th place. He's fought his way through. since the start of this one, off row 8 in that Penrite Mercedes, and Oliver Gavin's just drifted back a little bit here. He had a couple of car lengths relative to Warren Luff and Stephen Richards, but those two have pressed on. Gavin sits in 7th place, and in behind them, zeroing in as well, as Luke Youlden in that Freightliner Commodore.
This is going to be a very heated little pack soon. Richards has the speed to go on with it in car 888, but just cannot seem to get his way around Warren Luff. Also talk about Richards being out of contract as a co-driver, and Lowndes really wanting to make sure that he's signed up to try and retain the Peter Brock Trophy.
And typically Roland Dane has said to the drivers, I want your input in that. So Lowndes is saying, I want to keep the strong combination, the combo that won Bathurst. You'd have to think that will happen.
Well, he's won the Pertec Endurance Cup with a co-driver, lost him, and then managed to piece together a Bathurst victory 2 seasons later. So very successful with his co-drivers, Craig Lowndes. Under brakes on the beach chicane once again. Wild moment we saw between Macaulay Jones a few laps ago, and also Taz Douglas, neither driver wanting to give up down there. What a shame for car 99 after being right towards the front, turned around all the way to the back of the pack, and that will be investigated post-race.
Douglas is currently down in 20th spot. Just watching this battle for 7th position. Oliver Gavin's a couple of car lengths again now. He knows those two are coming.
This is going to be a pretty serious pack in about 2 more laps' time. Alex Davis will be a part of it. We talk about that silly season. What does that mean for Alex if his brother's on the move? Then he also needs to put his hand up for a drive somewhere in the paddock. So don't think that these drives right now that these guys are putting in for the next, well, up until lap 34, very important for their futures next year.
Davison getting close there to the second of the HRT entries in Jack Perkins. Perkins is currently 11th. There you can see them in the background behind the Freightliner Commodore. But the race is being led by Jonathan Webb by 2.2 seconds now. So Jono's pressed on in the Darrell Lee Commodore. And Alex Premer, and a good gap, as Roland Dane said before, back to David Russell in 3rd.
Time by Richards extremely close to the outside concrete wall, and this pack is really starting to close up.
That is the story. The rain, is it on the way? When will it hit? What impact will it have? Jonathan Webb leads the Castrol Gold Coast 600. Race 1 on Saturday. He's pushed the lead out to 2.5 seconds now over Alex Premer, and David Russell sitting in 3rd. But as you can see there, we've got quite a way to go. 80 laps, just over.
Interesting thing, on the last lap, the fastest driver out there was Jonathan Webb. The second quickest was Alex Premer. There's a couple of wild battles going on. How's Jack Perkins there? I reckon he clipped the wall on that occasion. This is an incentive for Luke Youlden, and the car tucked in behind Alex Davison on the previous lap was the fastest car on the racetrack. So there's quite a bit of intensity and pace, particularly in car 9, but these guys are at it at the moment. They're 20-odd seconds away from the lead, but they're arguing big time over track position here. Still relatively quiet by the standards that we've come to understand at this racetrack, and now forcing the issue down the inside was Alex Davison at turn 11. Nice clean pass and sneaks on by Luke Youlden. Now I reckon Jack gave that wall a rub down there. If he didn't, it would have been mighty close. Meantime, Stephen Richards continues to chew away at the back of car number 2. Warren Luff doing a very good job there with a lot of pressure on him at the moment. Remember that Tander's moved up to 6th in the championship, and as I detailed the top of the program, there's only 200 points between Lowndes in 2nd and Tander in 6th. There's a lot to play for in this group of cars that are battling for a spot at the sharp end of the championship at the end of all this at the moment. And so it's a lively battle between these guys for good reason at the moment. They're in the game, and as Craig Lowndes said in that conversation with me on the grid at the start of the race, you know, really super well positioned at this end of the championship, which is something he's not been able to do in the recent past. He's had some good starts, things have gone wrong in various sections of the campaign, but now with the run towards the end of the championship season, he's in this battle.
And it's a continuation of the style we've seen today from Stephen Richards. Normally unflappable. He was aggressive in the Carrera Cup race and driving the same way here now. So this is Perkins. We were talking about this before. Awkward through this point.
Yeah, he's grabbed the mirror, taken the cover off the back of the mirror. I think it looked worse than it was. It was enough for him to have to grab the car, resettle it. James knows the deal. Came out of the throttle, and there was no space left at all. Meantime, here's Warren Love sliding out of the back chicane, as is Stephen Richards. Gives you an idea of how aggressively they have to drive the cars around here in order to make lap speed.
It's our Drivers' Championship leader, Mark Winterbottom, looking relaxed at the moment. Steve Owen currently in 4th place that he shares the car with. Let's jump aboard for a ride here now. Been a man for all season so far in this endurance campaign, Steve Owen, and he's chasing the 15 in the hands of David Russell. Russell is currently in 3rd position in that Nissan Altima.
And he got a great start to David Russell to get that car into 3rd position. Rick Kelly, I think it's more nerve-wracking watching here at the Gold Coast than it is at Bathurst, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is. Up in 3rd at the moment, so Dave's doing a great job, but the car pace we've got isn't probably as good as the guys up the front, obviously, and by the look of the pack, there's a few really quick cars there, so the pit strategy for us is going to be key. If we mess that up and go back in the pack, I don't reckon we can fight our way forward, so we've got to be really careful.
Yeah, track position is going to be interesting, and also that soft tyre. When it gets played, potentially there's a few people that might look to play at a different strategy.
Yeah, definitely. I think most people are probably going to run 2 stints on that one, and you can see cars squirming around already on that hard compound, so it's going to be a tough old slog to the end, doing 60-odd laps on that tyre.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you.
Nick Percat, it was a difficult start to this weekend for yourself and Oliver Gavin, but Ollie's doing a sensational job out there, up to P7.
He is. He was fast in the co-driver sessions, made a little mistake, it didn't matter, but car's really good, so I kicked back in here, got beats going just out the back. It's a bit of a party. Lucas has just ordered like 50 pizzas, so I'm just going to feed up Blanchy to keep eating while we enjoy the V8s. What else would you want?
Hey, it's a party on the Gold Coast 600. Just watch that there. You might not be able to fit in your suit, Nick.
It's really escalated in LDM.
Just in the last hour, the air temp has dropped 4 degrees and the track temperature's dropped about 5 degrees. So confirmation that what we saw on that wide shot before down towards the south. Replay here of Alex Davison on Jack Perkins. Jack was the fastest on the racetrack the lap before, but he made it easy down there to make sure there was no contact at the hairpin at turn 4. Here's how it all unfolded. It actually started back at the chicane really with that fine run that Alex got through there. Be nasty on the downshift there. Sneaks up the inside pretty easily. Here's the super slow-mo replay of Alex Prema. Ooh, that's a bit too aggressive, and in fact that's taken part of the under tray section out of the bottom of that splitter. Keep an eye on that because that could become a factor in the latter part of the race.
Judging by the scarring too, it's not the first time as car 17 looks at Russell Ingall. Marcus on his old teammate gets it done, and look at Sebastian Bourdais looming here too in the Preston Hire Commodore. He's had a good exit from the hairpin. Nice job there, Marcus. He was really upbeat about the way this car's behaving. Look at this, Ingall and Bourdais. Nothing in this one. The two of them have to straight line the game.
That was a game of high-speed chicken. Frenchman prevailed. Yeah, Marcus is enjoying the behaviour of the car. Be curious to see who does blink with this tyre strategy and how many people elect to use the softer tyre, which they must use. Dunlop soft tyre in this race in the second stint, and then who rotates them. And clearly Shane van Gisbergen semi-gave the game away, that's the intention there, that they think they can rotate the tyres. We've seen it done successfully this year in different rounds. Meantime, Prema's actually got the fastest lap of the race so far, 1 minute 12.6.
Good numbers at the Shannon speed trap. Look at it clocking up there for Bourdais. Nudging 260 kilometres an hour before the brakes get a massive workout. A big spike in temperature. Paul Dumbrell leaving the lane by the looks of it, just outside a moment ago there. So all that work on car one. The bandages, it's complete, and car one back in action on the streets of surface. We ride with car 9. Alex Davison has made his way into the top 10 and continues to show good speed.
Just picked up the back end of a message a moment ago between Grant McPherson and Stephen Richards as well, and Richo's fuel saving also at the moment. Check this one out. Look at the way in which the cars rock and roll around this racetrack. This is the run into 4. Marcus got a little bit of cooperation there from Russell Ingall, who spotted him coming and left the gap. That was all the incentive that Sebastian Bourdais required. Here we are on board the point of view for Russell, car number 6. And you'll see the Frenchman sneak up the inside there. He just pokes the nose of the Preston Hire Holden Commodore. And then watch this little game. 245 kilometres an hour when they try and sort it out here. And the two of them fumble their way through the traffic islands, pop out the other side, and Seb prevails. Here it is again from the other lower angle here. And it was wacky races at this point.
You reckon he needs another banana peel for the flux capacitor? Webb leading the way by 7.2 now from Alex Prema.
Yeah, boys, we're just watching those replays sitting here with Scotty Pies. Marcus did a move on his old teammate, slid her up the inside, which got pretty interesting after that, though, mate.
That was good. It was a nice, clean move. But Russ, I mean, it was almost, I think it was Rick Kelly and Bridie back in the day had a big one through there, and that was looking like that could have happened there. But no, it's good for Marcus now. He needs to just press on and try and make some track position.
I reckon looking at the back of that number 6 with Russell Ingall driving it, he was thinking back to Stone Brothers days potentially.
Yeah, I think he's probably used to being in front of him though, not behind him, because he was. So it was good to see him muscle his way past there. But I think they got some pretty good respect for each other. Russell gave him plenty of room. He certainly gave him more than Bourdais anyway.
Oh mate, good luck for the rest of the afternoon.
Thanks, man.
Marcus is 35 seconds from the lead at the moment in 14th place, and the next in the queue for him is Andrew Jones in Team BOC entry. Quite a number of little car clusters here and there that are engaged in pretty heavy-duty warfare. That margin, by the way, first to second, has kept on creeping away, 7.6 seconds. So Webb's in a little bit of a league of his own there. So he's answering the question that we posed to him on the start line at the beginning of the race, that he's totally comfortable on the street circuit. He likes this car. Despite not doing a lot of race kilometres this year, he has made a very good job of it when it's come to the Pertec Enduro Cup at Sandown, where he got on the podium in 3rd place with Shane. Great run at Bathurst as well. Here's Oliver Gavin. He's 7th.
Hey, Tim, just looking at Russ in the car, and he looks like he's having trouble dealing with the IFL of the car, and he did the right thing there. He just let it run wide and let the boys go past. How's he settling in?
Yeah, he's not saying too much on the radio. So, look, I mean, his times are okay. I think he flat spotted a tyre quite early in the stint, so he's kind of dealing with that, a bit of a 50-cent piece rolling around at the front. But he's doing okay.
It's good to watch. I think once he gets a few miles under his belt today and learns the car better, he'll be red hot tomorrow. I think that's what he's up to.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I mean, Marcus was having a dive at him every lap there, so it wasn't surprising. He was smart. He looked in the mirrors. He didn't try and hold up Russell then. I think then Sebastian got a bit eager, and it's one of those ones they're both coming down to the chicane. Who gives up? But I think again Russell did the smart thing and just back out of it.
Yeah, if he didn't move, he would have caved the door in and would have been hanging out of the fence. So
absolutely,
he's still a wise old man.
Yeah, no, he's doing a great job.
Thanks.
Paul Morris with his old team boss there in Tim Edwards right now. Owen is in 4th place for that team. A couple of the main guys look like they're getting ready. So Scotty McLaughlin there.
They need to be ready in case any weather arrives on the scene as well, so that they're well geared for it.
Webb leads the way from Prema and Russell here. Continue to watch this battle here. Super impressive performance from Alex Davison, Chad.
Up 6 spots from the start of the race. Very nice drive from Alex, and I tell you what, there's more to get here. This battle pack hasn't dispersed too much. Running off the back of Oliver Gavin's rear bar. Find Warren Luff, Stephen Richards, and Alex is up those 6 spots, but probably only with another 4 or 5 laps left before these pit stops start. 34 laps is the minimum. It'd be so awkward if the safety car was to come out now, because that would mean that our co-drivers would be turning almost half of the race distance, if not more. So for a lot of the main game guys, they'll be hoping that we stay green for the next 4 laps. 33, still you can actually hear the right front splitter of that car scraping on the ground. And as a result, Webb has opened up a 9-second lead over Alex Prema. Great drive.
Yeah, really impressive. Neil spotted that damage before on that front splitter of Prema's. So we
can hear it.
Yeah. Gap's now 9.1 seconds. Look at it there.
How much can they fix in 30 seconds, really, when they come back in? That'll be the ask, the question here.
Look at it. Just look at it.
It's costing him too. You see that time by 0.7 of a second slower than Jonathan Webb. So he's only continuing to lose time here. And the more he hits the curbs, the more that'll deteriorate. Especially this is where he did it, on the beach chicane. If he keeps hitting these tyres, so he's already done it twice now, and it's going to continue to get worse.
I know you have to be attack the curbs here, but that won't go down well. He's done such a good job to be, for them to qualify on the front row here. Scotty was superb in the shootout. Here he is, Scott McLaughlin on standby. Little shake of the head because he's worried. He's worried here.
They're going to have to attend to that in this pit stop, which is coming up in about 4 laps' time. It's under braking when it noses over, especially around left-hand corners.
Listen. Next one's a left.
Oh. I mean, if they have to change that entire front splitter, that's going to cost them more than 30 seconds, you'd have to say. So they could have a crack at taping it up, but you also want to be very mindful of any ducting that you might be covering up. 3 to go, meaning that's exactly when he'll be coming into the pits. It's a shame. He's done a really good job, Alex Prema. It's just that one tiny thing.
Such a shame. Again, Alex Davison in 10th place, showing some impressive sectors. Prema has not rolled off this.
Even the orange curbs are making it worse now because it's hanging that low. It's looking pretty ugly.
There you go, now out to 10 seconds. So he continues to struggle with this car. He has space back to David Russell, 5.2 seconds. But the margin, Webb's just cleared away, just kept it tidy. 10.2 seconds in the Darrell Lee Commodore from Prema, who's struggling here. So lots of drivers starting to get those helmets on in pit lane. The primary drivers on standby. And look at the damage for car 33. Here's Scott McLaughlin ready to go. Richard Holway to the right with the glasses. How will the ribs hold up for James Courtney? He's ready for the 22. Michael Caruso eager to take over from Dean Fiore and the youngster. Cameron Waters ready if Russell Ingall hands it over.
So we flagged this early, and we've seen repeat offences in terms of clobbering that tyre bundle down there in the fast chicane at the end of the back straight. So now it's actually broken the under tray out of the splitter. So they'll have to have a good look at it to see whether they can race tape it back together or indeed look at changing it. They might be okay in terms of the mounts. I'll finish that comment that started ages ago also about Stephen Richards. He was in conversation with Grant McPherson, and at Bathurst he did this as well. He fuel saved. When he found himself in that first stint at Bathurst, instead of trying to be desperate and to pass people that he figured was going to be really hard work, he concentrated very carefully on fuel saving. He's doing the same out there at the moment, and Grant said, just make sure when you do this, and he's currently sitting in 9th, he's got Alex Davison behind him, don't expose the car to anyone making an attack from behind. But he's playing a shrewd fuel game here as well at the moment, as you'd expect from somebody with so much experience and success. On board here with Sebastian Bourdais, Frenchman. He's down in 15th position at the moment, and Sebastian's 39 seconds from the lead. Andrew Jones, car 8, Marcus Ambrose in 17, and there's Seb tucked in behind. So this is one of those little angry packs that I spoke about before, and when you're buried in one of these packs, you'll be super careful. You're drawing in a lot of hot air. It's raising brake temperatures. You tend to have to overdrive the car in order to not only maintain your position, let alone try and improve it. These stints are often very hard, very awkward stints. And our focus coming up to these first stops will be to keep an eye on what goes on with tyres with the key runners. Now, based on eavesdropping on the radio, it seemed as though they're going to bring Prema in as soon as they've cleared his co-driver laps, and I just reckon I heard the cue in the background to pit this lap. That, to a degree, compromises their soft tyre strategy later. Others, and they're pitting Richards as well, they're pitting Stephen Richards. Others may choose to run a little bit longer to shorten up the next stint. We'll see who blinks as a result of this. Some of them just wanting to clear that minimum requirement of 34 laps. Others could potentially go out based on our current fuel numbers here of anything up to 40 or 41 laps, which is still a fair way down the road from where we sit at the moment.
Well done, Jonathan Webb. He has established a lead of 13.4 seconds. Now, Prema has lost 2 seconds in the past couple of laps with that damaged splitter relative to Russell in third.
Now, I know there are spotters up and down the lane as well as Prema peels off to watch what the key teams do. In comes Russell. They're all flinching. So they're just clearing the minimum requirement.
Neutral when you stop. Make sure
traffic jam here.
Disconnect radio now.
So they're all going to stalk each other and see what they're going to do for rubber. But the word I'm hearing at the moment is there's lots of hard tyres being rolled out there. So there's the front of the Volvo. So they've elected to just not muck around with race tape. And what have they got going on there? That's a soft tyre. White wall soft tyre and a new front end for the Volvo. Mark Winterbottom in with the seat insert, Steve Owen out. Hard tyres on that car, soft tyre on car 15. You're going to see a big variation in strategy here. Meantime, Webb stayed out. Ooh, little rotation there. You can get away with that when you first grab the gear, provided it doesn't fully rotate. That was a hard tyre too, I think. I was looking at the rotation. Oh, contact. That's going to be an unsafe release. That's very, very important story, that one. Now, they were involved in a weird moment at Bathurst as well with car 5, and nothing came of it that involved Todd Kelly. But in this instance, that was big contact.
I reckon there's damage to the right front is there that looked odd as it came out of the line. I could be wrong. Look at that wheel. Look at that.
They're going to get a penalty for an unsafe release.
Leader of the Drivers' Championship, Mark Winterbottom, the pairing that lead the Pertec Enduro Cup. Contact with one of the Holden Racing Team Commodores as it left the lane. Just check the steering out here, and giving the appearance of being severely right-hand down at the moment. That was pretty solid impact there. Webb stayed out. Davison stayed out, as in Alex, and he's moved up into second, and they're preparing car 6.
I have to pit.
That's Frosty's voice. Mark Winterbottom.
Come in to stay out one more lap, please.
They're not ready for him because they're bringing in 6. That's the reason they want him to stay out that extra lap. So they're bringing Russell Ingall in. They don't want to double stack. They've got enough problems now to deal with here. Car 5. And 97's in. Jonathan Webb, mighty stint. 23-second margin over Alex.
Remember, so the tire engine for the guys. Sit, mate.
Hard tyre going on the Techno entry, so that's a stint on the softs in the final stint of the race, which when you run the simulation should give you the best outcome subject to traffic and safety cars. Oh, he's limping. That front right-hand corner of that car looked really wounded to me when we saw a shot before. So Winterbottom, who had to stay out in order not to tangle up the pro-drive pit.
Oh,
he's going to be lucky to make this. This has big ramifications for our championship leader. Remember, I said at the very start of the day, he's got a 399-point cushion.
Black flag, pit lane drive-through penalty, car 5. Black flag, pit lane penalty, car 5 unsafe pit release.
So drive-through penalty for the unsafe release, no surprise, and damage to deal with there as well. So this is a complete disaster for the championship leader.
Can he get this thing back? What a story. He leads the Drivers' Championship. How did it happen? contact with the Holden Racing Team entry. Meantime, Alex Davison, who's done a super job, leads the way by 19.2 seconds. Waiting for him to complete his stop along with Sebastian Bourdais and Dean Fiore. Van Gisbergen is the race leader effectively. Let's have a look at this again.
It's just gone straight out and straight into him. In fact, I tell you what, it nearly got the guys on the front right-hand corner of the Red Bull car here. Watch this. Watch the Red Bull boys. They were almost cleaned up in this. That's an awkward moment for everybody, and that's the reason why the rule about safe releases exists. Big contact. Here it is again from another angle. One of the reasons why the 40-kilometre pit lane speed limit is in existence. So big damage here.
Okay, go.
Davison in, Fiore in as well.
Big chance this car's going to have to be put back into the garage. Now, they're going to have to serve this penalty after this.
5 laps, boys, less than that. I know you can.
That's got huge damage in there. So you can't take a penalty and resolve damage simultaneously. So a problem here for 34 as well. And that's up at turn 11, where we've traditionally seen a lot of trouble over the years. David Wall in that car.
What happened there, David? Just lock the front, easy, mate.
Meantime. Here's the onboard from, let's listen. Gee whiz. Huge contact there. And here we are looking at the point of view from the Lowndes Richards car.
I couldn't get over the way the Tander car rose after the contact when we saw the onboard before. Is car 2 okay?
Okay, guys, so there's a lot of damage, as you would have imagined, in the front end of car 5. The upright has been damaged as well. The clevis that holds the top suspension arm has literally been pulled out of the top upright. So they are preparing a whole upright, brake disc, caliper, everything to go back into car 5. The damper is damaged, and as you can imagine, they'll probably keep finding a few more things as they start pulling car 5 apart, but it's going to be here for quite a long time.
Gee, Murph, I'm surprised they're doing it in the lane instead of in the garage.
So I was just thinking exactly that as well, mate. They're going to have to think about that pretty quickly, with the length of time that this is going to take, potentially, obviously, upsetting the other cars.
Well, if you've got the wheel off it and it rained, for example, what are you going to do with car 6?
Well, if there's a safety car and all those situations come into play. So that's a big job, as you can see, Crombley. You know, it's not a 5-minute job to replace that suspension arm and that upright.
Eyes of Mark Winterbottom say it all. Frustration, a 399-point lead coming in to this round.
He's racing Craig Lowndes in the championship. He's 9th at the moment and in the car, having exchanged positions with Stephen Richards.
I know we talked about Paul Dumbrell at Bathurst and some of the great stints, co-driver stints he had. You've got to say, man of the match so far in co-driver terms, Jonathan Webb. He was out of there, wasn't he? Great job.
Awesome performance. Sebastian Bourdais, meantime, stayed in the car and is going to run to empty on this fuel stint. We're on lap 40, must be due in any tick of the clock. He's got a 23-second margin over Shane Van Gisbergen on screen here. And Shane's got a decent little margin of nearly 6 seconds over David Reynolds. Then it's Tim Slade, Rick Kelly. So there's been a little bit of pack shuffling here. And remember that there's variation in terms of tyres. So the best placed car in the field on a soft tyre at the moment is Rick Kelly. And I know Blanchard's on a soft tyre, Moffat's on a soft tyre, Todd Kelly's on a soft tyre. So not too many people have played that card.
Just watching the Volvo here. Remember all that work that went on to the front splitter of Scott McLaughlin after Alex Premer was regularly hitting the curbs at this point of the track, and he has rejoined in 12th position right now. 23.4 second advantage.
Car 6, black flag, pit lane drive-through penalty. Car 6, wheels spinning during pit stop.
Confirmation there from Tim Schenken.
Gee whiz, what a day they're having at ProDrive. So this is the car being driven by Russell Ingall and Cam Waters, with Chaz Mostert sideline, no doubt watching us in hospital at the moment. Bourdais, meantime's come in, and it's It's one of those dark days, unfortunately, that come along every now and again for a race team where the sky falls on you. Van Gisbergen now assumes the lead. I was pretty sure that I saw a soft tyre go on car 33 before. Maybe I didn't see the sidewall properly. But actually, it's just updated on the timing, so in fact it is now showing soft.
Put a lot of pressure on himself this weekend, Cam Waters. He wants to do a very good job in this opportunity that's come about. He's kind of moved into the lead driver capacity, but Russell very much in a mentoring role in this situation. He wanted to be closer to being a shootout contender, Cam Waters, but he's been getting better with every lap around the streets of surface in this car.
He's going to quickly try, and I know he's probably not feeling like it right now at all, but after such a sublime job at Bathurst, you guys did everything right in the pit stops, but that one looked like just a clear miscalculation there.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the pit lane was congested, the whole pit, half the field pitted on the same lap. Yeah, it just wasn't a gap there.
Substantial amount of damage too, considering the pit lane and the speeds is very slow, but the amount of damage to that car is substantial.
Oh, look, we'll get him back out and he'll still be classified second last, probably just in front of PD. So, yeah, no, it's an absolute disaster.
And then to top it off, there was an issue there with car 6 with the wheels spinning as well, just to make your day a little bit worse.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, the gear lever just got knocked when the drivers were changing. So the drivers weren't even aware that it was in gear. It just got bumped when they were hopping out.
Thank you.
And it's very easily done. You might wonder at home how that can happen, but when you're flying in and out of the car and you've got arms and legs flailing, just bumping that gear lever, and we've got a problem here for the Nissan. Big problem down at the turn 1 chicane there for car number 23. Some scars already on that car. So that's tyre bundle there is just eating the front of quite a number of these cars. If you take too much of that curbing down there, it's really hurting. So this is the Michael Caruso and Dean Fiore car. And there'll be, just to cap off what's, as I said before, a pretty evil day for Tim and his squad. They'll have that outstanding pit lane penalty to deal with as well for car 5.
And the Latino's left front here, if that tyre is damaged, beyond repair. So you just pit this lap, and while you're in the box, you're going to have to turn the car off and try and reset that dash as well.
So they've got a dashboard issue. That's twice in 2 race meetings we've seen dash issues as well, so they mustn't have any data on there. That happened to Mark Winterbottom at the Super Cheap Auto Bathurst 1000, so they're going to recycle the electronic system in that car, and we've got a new front end on standby, as you saw there a moment ago. It is Michael in the car. And Gisbergen over Reynolds. Then it's Slade, then Rick Kelly, then Tander, then Courtney, the HRT duo, 5th and 6th. Then Will Davison, who's played into the game. Lowndes is 8th, and then Percat is 9th. Fabian Coulthard is 10th. Let's keep a bit of an eye on Scott McLaughlin as well. He's on a soft tyre, as is Rick Kelly. Rick's just done the fastest lap of the race, no surprise. And then they'll need to recycle those tyres. And I wonder whether or not Shane Van Gisbergen was trying to sell a dud deal up and down the pit lane, if anyone was listening to the broadcast. Oh, yeah, we might run those soft tyres because he's not on them.
You blokes wouldn't do that, would you?
No, not at all. He's on a hard tyre at the moment, and that shortens up his run on those softs a little bit later.
Is there any point continuing now? Honestly,
that's Michael Caruso.
What are we going to achieve?
Pretty despondent in the background, saying, is there any point continuing? Well, there's points while ever you're classified, so they'll need to do a little bit of re-inflating there to get Michael back up on the horse. Meantime, this little battle going on here between Slade and Kelly, 3rd and 4th. It's for a key position, and there's the HRT duo I spoke of, Tander and Courtney. Remember that James, on the comeback after being out of the game since Sydney Motorsport Park, little moment there for Garth, actually barely got it stopped.
I did speak to Adrian Burgess in regards to Garth Tander and whether he did have any damage when Mark Winterbottom did have that unsafe release, and Adrian was confident that Garth's car is quite fine.
Okay, thanks, Brianna. He's currently in 5th place. Great job by the HRT duo to be 5th and 6th respectively. And it's only lap 45 of this race.
Gizzy just said on the radio, I got a 5.8 second lead. I'm just going to cruise.
David Reynolds has done a very good job here, Chad, hasn't he, to for the moment, be in contention. So you could say the same for Tim Slade and Rick Kelly. We'll watch the HRT cars here. Clearly with Michael Caruso there before, they may have gone the other way compared to Scott McLaughlin and Alex Premer. They changed that front splitter on the 33. They opted to patch car 23 by the looks of it.
Yeah, and it goes to show that if you keep hitting that same spot, that problem will get worse, which is as obvious as it sounds. The two HRT cars right on top of each other right now. Do we dare air this argument or discussion once again? They've had at it, these two boys, this year, Courtney and Tander. Courtney back in the car for the first time since Sydney Motorsport Park. I think he's a little bit hungry. He's been watching Garth do all the racing in car 2.
Best lap of the race is a 12.5. I know Rihanna, in the update there before from Adrian Burgess, said there is no issues with that car, but boy, it copped a cloud on the onboard, didn't it? So if it's not having some sort of slight handling issue, that's pretty impressive. It's recovered from that well.
Probably just pure luck more than anything. It doesn't even look like it copped it in the door, so if it's actually got it in the wheels, then it's even luckier that it doesn't have too much of an issue. But you know what?
Oh, look at him.
Here's Courtney just shifting Tander out of the way. Hurt ribs or not, here comes James Courtney.
Meantime, Will Davison as well up into 7th position. The Davison brothers from row 8 on the grid. That's a superb performance in the Penrite Mercedes. Riding with James now. This is where it takes its toll on those broken ribs and that lung injury that he's had since the incident at Sydney Motorsport Park back in August. But he's got the eyes on this weekend. He hit the curbs, I think, in practice 4 yesterday 9 times. There were 9 warnings.
He was testing those ribs out. Adrian Burgess watching on. A little headache starting to creep in between the headset for him right now, between his two hotshot drivers. The problem for Courtney isn't so much the ribs.
We need to get into the mid-12s, between the mid-12s, or we need to think about the strategy of our teammate.
As they talk about their number that they want to be running for the rest of the race. It's more the fact that James hasn't been doing any form of exercise for nearly 3 months. So trying to turn, 90 minutes of racing, he's going to be pretty gassed out by the end of this. See if he can keep this kind of frantic behaviour up across 60-odd laps.
Tander was pretty animated on the radio in the background then, talking about the fact that he wasn't interested in strategy because old mate keeps running into me. So there's this little bit of needle here. There's been a couple of occasions this year where these blokes have got together, and when they're in the car, they laugh and joke out of the car, but when they're in the car, it's a serious game. There's a bit of warfare. There is up and down the lane. First bloke you have to beat in every race team is your teammate.
Fastest lap of the race belongs to Lee Holdsworth. Car he shares with Sebastian Bourdais, a 1:12.11. Currently in 13th place, one of the cars from the Walkinshaw stable. These guys are 5th and 6th.
A lot of drivers being warned also, Greg, about just staying off these tyre bundles, particularly up at turns 8, 9 and 10. That one that we saw that's claimed the front end of both the Nissan and also the Volvo of Alex Premer. So James has just relaxed a little bit of the pressure for the moment. And just behind here is Will Davison, who's got good pace in that Erebus entry for Penrite at the moment as well. Holdsworth's fast, by the way, so 12.1, his fastest lap of the race and the fastest lap of the race in 13th position.
Davison starting to close on these guys. He's in 7th place in the Penrite Mercedes and was 0.3 of a lap faster. His lap time 0.3 quicker than the HRT cars in front of him last time by. So Tander 5th, Courtney 6th, Davison, who you ride with, in 7th, and then Craig Lowndes behind Will Davison.
So just a slight relaxation momentarily of this battle between Tander and Courtney. We're looking at positions 5 and 6 from the chopper. Heading south, Gold Coast Highway. Replay down at turn 4. There was a little bit of needle here between the two of them. And then there was a radio exchange. So the respective engineers, Blake Smith and Alistair McVeigh, talking to their drivers. They're talking about fuel saving and managing fuel as well. And Garth's response to that was, no worry about managing fuel. Old mate's running into me. You've got to stop running into me. And so Adrian trying not to react for our sake publicly, but he doesn't want to see this stuff going on out there at the moment.
Adrian Burgess, it's getting pretty tense out there between the two guys. We've seen them in this situation a little bit in the last, this year. Fair bit of radio communication going on between both cars and the engineers as well. How do you sort of manage this one?
Look, as you know, we've been in this position before. I hate it. This is why I'm grey. But look, I've got two drivers who are quick. GT's car probably isn't as balanced as James's at the moment. But at the end of the day, we've said it before, they can't trade paint. If James' car's quicker, then probably we've got to let him have a crack at it. But equally, there's other things we're racing at the moment. We're racing Triple 8 in the teams. We're racing Frosty in Vertec Cup. So we've got to have an eye on those two things as well. So they've got to keep it clean.
Yeah, they do. Are you sure there's not a little bit of from that incident in the pit lane there? Because we can see Alex David or Will Davison closing in behind as well.
There might be a bit of that as well. So we're going to judge it for another couple of laps. He's been told he can go past if it's clean. GT's been told the same. So we'll see how it pans out.
Thank you.
Pressure on here as well because Rick Kelly, who's on the soft tyres, ranged right up to the back now of Tim Slade. And they're getting closer to David Reynolds. So this is a battle for second, third and fourth. And they're rounding up car number 4. Ash Walsh is in that Wendy's entry at the moment. So keep an eye on Rick. Very quick there a couple of laps ago. And he's pulled that gap right down. Great qualifying performance for Rick Kelly in the top 10 shootout to make this happen. And Slade being held up badly then. He couldn't apply the power. That'll make him extremely vulnerable. So Rick knows that trying to do it down at turn 1 and in that first chicane complex is a very difficult proposition. But have a think, he'll be having a think, that is, about turn 4 down at the hairpin. So watch the Jack Daniels car. So through here cleanly, he'll be trying to get that throttle in as early as he can. He maybe isn't quite close enough, but this is the spot where he'll make ground under brakes. Not quite close enough. That's a nasty bump on the other side of that first 3-corner complex there as well to get through those cars around then. Meantime, Holdsworth's just done a new fastest lap of the race, a 1 minute 12.1. Lee's in 13th at the moment. Look at the soft tyre advantage. Oh, serious error there for Rick Kelly. He started to get really close to the back of the Super Cheap Auto Racer and then had to straight line it heading north. Van Gisbergen's got 8.4 seconds over Reynolds. That's Reynolds in the foreground in the green Ford. And this is where the focus lies at the moment. There's two serious battles going on. One between Slade and Kelly, the other one between Tander and Courtney. And as we noted a few moments ago, Van Gisbergen's telling his crew, I'm just cruising. He'll be managing fuel, looking after tyres, trying to stretch this run as much as he can for the shortest possible run on the soft tyre at the very end.
David Reynolds, a 1:12.78 last time by. These guys in the low 13s, so Rick eager to get on with it. A potential podium for the Jack Daniels Nissan. Has a look down the inside of 47. Oh, not quite enough there, not quite enough.
Slady saw him. He half left the door there just in case. They both know the risks that if you tangle up and end up rotating down there, your day's done. Slade was on the podium here last year in a vigorous battle with a cool suit failure and an air fan failure. He was in a big battle with Mark Winterbottom. He's got another one on his hands today. He's trying to fight for a spot on the podium at the moment in car number 47. Rick's on the softer tyre, but he doesn't want to use it to the point where he kills it.
Davison running right with those HRT cars in the next skirmish, the next battle behind. Still Tander in 5th, Courtney in 6th. You continue to ride here with Rick Kelly, 4th place in car 15, the Nissan Altima. Here's the next lot. You can see Craig Lowndes right with Will Davison as well. This is about to potentially become a 4-way battle, and that's for 5th in this race. Just over the halfway mark. Scott Pye in the DJR Team Penske Ford is in 14th place. It's Van Gisbergen leading the way by 8.5 seconds from Reynolds. Then Slade, Kelly, and then it's this lot. Tander.
So it's diminishing returns now also for Rick Kelly, who's done 18 laps on those soft tyres. But they'll be beginning to taper in their performance and behaviour now. And he hasn't quite been able to pull the trigger and make that effective. We're on board here with Will Davison. He's got a bird's eye view of the battle going on at the Holden Racing team, and that's just calmed down for the moment now between Tander and Courtney, 5th and 6th.
With the other brother Davison, Alex, hey mate, great stint. You had a very close call there with Russell Ingall, rub up against the wall. We were all holding our breaths on that one, but once you got clear, got a bit of a rhythm going. The car's good, and now Will is starting to press.
Yeah, mate, it's such good fun in that stint. It's always great when you got a bit of pace, and we passed a few cars. That was I was holding my breath too with Russell. I went down the inside, I got the whole way in there, and he obviously didn't see me and turned in. I got pinched between the wall, so I was just waiting to come out of the corner. Hopefully the steering was still straight, and it was, so we pressed on after that. Made up a few spots, and as you said, yeah, Will's pressing on pretty good now, so I'll just sit here and keep my fingers crossed that it holds together.
Good on you, buddy, well done.
Cheers.
Dean Cantor, it was a little bit hairy in those first couple of laps, but you got through cleanly and you got sitting really nicely in second place.
I don't know what your definition of cleanly is, but yeah, look, I got a good start, got boxed in a little bit, so I rolled behind Richo, made a few spots on that first lap, and then, yeah, P-Dean obviously had contact, but not ideal for him, and that's not the way I want to go racing, but he probably squeezed me a bit and pushed the envelope, and he came on second best, so, but yeah, look, our car's working really well, and not as quick as SVG, but look, we're looking like, fingers crossed, on the podium at this stage.
Fingers crossed you guys will be on the podium, because we've seen what you guys can do before, and you know, who knows, all the rules go out the window when you and Dave get up there.
Yeah, no comment, but look, we haven't had a podium this endurance campaign, so looking forward to giving my surfboard home from a couple of years back to brother or sister.
Thanks, Dean.
Yes, thank you.
The other implication around this vigorous battle that Rick Kelly's in at the moment that we're just monitoring with Tim Slade battle for 3rd and 4th is that having gone out on the soft tyre, will he choose to recycle them now, turn them around and run them in the final stint, or does he have to go back on the soft tyre because they've seen better days? He's still got a little bit of pace in hand, but you can see how difficult it is to apply it out there at present. They are getting a little closer on occasion to the back of David Reynolds. David's 9.5 seconds from Van Gisbergen, and these three guys are almost locked together now. And yeah, it's about a 10, you could call it 10 seconds across these three from the lead of the race, but they're gifting margin at the moment to Van Gisbergen.
To your point, Slade has reacted fastest or personal best in the first sector, and he's got a little breathing space over Rick there now, and it's 0.6 between Reynolds and Slade, so not much in it. We go back to Will Davison, 7th place, who's got Craig Lowndes behind him, and Will and Craig are only 15 seconds from the lead, so they can see it all going on up front here as well. So if we got a little spot of weather, or what's typically been a safety car intervention, is he up there this time, Rick Kelly, then that'll change everything. I reckon he might, if he can get the nose in front here. This is going to be line ball when they try and decide who has right of way. There's nothing in it. Rick's got it. Just great exchange between these two. Now that Rick is released, does he still have anything left in these tyres to apply? Can he grab Reynolds? And how is this going to play for the tyre strategy for car number 15? So here's how it all got set up. That's the run through the chicane. Big dive down at turn 4. Tim's been leaving space down there just in case so they don't have an awkward moment. And that extra little bit of bite that Rick's got in second gear for drive.
Keep it nice and smooth and straight now, nice and smooth and straight. 46 laps remaining.
And when you're Tim in that position and you're staring at that traffic island on effectively the wrong side of the road, there's not much else he can do. That's his teammate, Tony D'Alberto, whose first stint was also very solid in the Super Cheap car.
A couple of good numbers popping up here. McLaughlin showing some good sectors. Scott Pye's another one. Todd Kelly and David Wall. Here's what's happening up in front. Your race leader by 9.7 seconds. Shane Van Gisbergen. Paul.
Steve, the soft tyre line for the guys that have gone to, it's not looking real flash. I reckon you guys are in the box seat. You're going to run long and short stint on them?
Well, that would be one plan, yes, and we could easily do that. We have a bit of an advantage at the moment, and we just need to wait until the right time to play our hand with the soft tyre.
Do you think you'll have more pace than the Nissans? They look like they're struggling on the soft.
It's difficult to say. I don't know what their issues are, but we're pretty confident in where we are.
I reckon you are real confident. Good job.
Steve Hallam, very experienced when it comes to motor racing. His driver, Shane Van Gisbergen, leading the way from David Reynolds and Rick Kelly on the streets of Surfers Paradise. It's a 9.7 second lead. McLaughlin, who we saw replace that front splitter before, is back up into the top 10. Nick Percat is in the 10 as well. And we're just keeping an eye on that battle. Will Davison, James Courtney, Garth Tander. McLaughlin ahead of Percat now. McLaughlin, the 33, up to 9. HRT cars have broken away a little from Davison and Lowndes.
This arm wrestle continues. It's a beauty, isn't it? Blood was on the boil 10 minutes ago. Things have calmed down a little just now.
One of our photographers there is that Dirk Kleinsmith, I think, taking some shots.
That's Dirk. He's getting all the good angles. And just looking at the strategy here, going back to what Paul Morris was talking about there a moment ago, you know, we're using best estimates, but for Van Gisbergen at the moment, the range of fuel that he's got in the car and the way he's using it at the moment and the lap speed that he's got, he can get to somewhere in the high 70s in terms of laps. Call it 20 odd laps from now. And I think that's a bit hard to see them all with the boys with the helmets on. I think that was Anthony McDonald just briefing everybody in the Holden Racing Team garage. So call it 78, 9 or 80 laps. And then that means a pretty short run to lap 102 on the soft tyre. And you know, they'll comfortably do those soft tyres, will comfortably do that sort of run. And we're not seeing, there was supposed to be around about a lap difference with the soft tyre around here. But I think the problem for Rick with running the soft in that strategy where he was battling so long with Tim Slade there is he used so much of the tyre early that the really early juicy advantage gets used up and you don't see the best out of the tyre. But for Van Gisbergen, it's a clean air proposition. Down, heart rate down. So Jason Bright in 12th position, sliding out the other side of the chicane. Worried me for a moment there.
Watching the other two cars in the Brad Jones stable here, battling away with Lee Holdsworth. Got a glimpse a moment ago of Dale Wood. Dale and Macaulay Jones started out at position 23 for this race today. They're up in 16th spot at the moment. Freightliner Commodore, Coulthard is 11th, Bright 12th, and Holdsworth is in 13th. Holdsworth has, we detailed before, the fastest lap of the race so far, 1:12.11. Are you getting updates from Bradley in the lane? I thought you were diving for your phone for a text message update.
Yes and yes is the answer to that. I am diving for it and I am getting messages, and I've also got one from Dunlop, and the track's cooled out even further. The air's 23, the track's now 28. That'll also be having an impact on the way in which the cars are behaving. Bourdais got a bit of pressure going on these two guys from Brad Jones Racing. Freightliner entry for Coulthard, BOC entry for Bright. I said Bourdais, I meant Holdsworth. Double trouble with these races, but they've done a good job, haven't they, in car number 18 for Preston Hire. Lee's really found his stride in these enduro races in the recent past. Up the inside and a nice clean move there into 11th place for Jason Brighton. It's on here. Look at Holdsworth trying to buy in here and back down the inside, and contact between Coulthard and Bright. That's awkward. They managed it successfully out the other side, but for a moment there all heart rates peaked. Holdsworth is in this one too. What a great battle. Bright, Coulthard, Holdsworth, 11, 12 and 13 in the field.
They've made some progress with that car, the Charlie Schwerkolt team. Lee Holdsworth and Sebastian Bourdais in the top 10 in the Pertec Enduro Cup.
Tander's in the lane, Slade's in the lane, McLaughlin on screen. And they're putting hards back on car number 33, so they're not going to run them for the second time round. That's a soft tyre for Garth. Yellow sidewall, and they've got a problem there still. with the front of that car. They were looking at the front of the car. I think fuel was still the limiting factor there. It's got a bit of oil haze there at the back of it too. So successfully into a nice clean empty lane there for Garth Tander. Van Gisbergen's margin out to 10.3 seconds. And Courtney staying in the car, pitting this lap. Car number 22.
Tander just gets out in front of car 97. That's important. Bit of a brake lock up for Tander at the hairpin. Can't quite arrest the speed on the outlap. Up the inside comes Van Gisbergen, or at least has a little.
Yeah, he's fighting for life there. He knows that if he goes a lap down, that's strategically disastrous if anything happens with a safety car. So Tander trying to drive it like the tyres are fully warm, but we know they're not. Wonder whether you put a mark on those tyres then, and he'll know already. You'll feel the vibration in the car and the pedal. There's his teammate, Courtney. Here's Lowndes. Fuel limited here.
Have a bit of a look. 8 seconds, mate. Block a gear. You're clear for now, mate. You're still clear.
You can now get further.
It's a gain. So Lowndes is just clawing his way up this field. That's all bad news for Mark Winterbottom.
Just to underscore your point there, Lowndes was behind the HRT car coming in the lane. He's gone out in front. It is a gain for Craig Lowndes. And off deep at the hairpin for car 888.
Car 23 is a lap down.
Yeah, they're pressing on really cold tyres down there.
Eyes forward, long way to go. All good, no worries.
And 33, I've heard, is back in the garage. Yes, there it is. What a disappointment after such a great job in qualifying. Quite a few people are going to ask a fair bit of a soft tyre here.
These guys started the day on the front row of the grid. Alex Premer attacked in the early phase of the race. Scotty McLaughlin was superb in qualifying and in the shootout for that matter. Freightliner entry in, the 55 of David Reynolds in.
Go, mate, go.
Percat rejoins as well in car 222 for the LD Motorsport team. The battle-scarred car of Michael Caruso swings by. He's back out there.
10.7 seconds. Rick Kelly behind Shane Van Gisbergen at the moment.
Hearing it might be an issue with steering for the McLaughlin car. That is the word from the team.
Reynolds, Lowndes, Courtney. So just inside 40 laps remaining. Van Gisbergen's yet to take that second stop. Stretching this stint as much as he can. Still got fuel range up his sleeve. They'll be monitoring gaps. Holdsworth's come into the lane as well in car number 18.
Reynolds here trying to fight off Craig Lowndes. Reynolds is 10th, Lowndes 11th.
An eye on the lap speed on the last lap there between Van Gisbergen and Kelly. So Rick's still just a little bit quicker than Shane, about half a second. So clear air is helping Rick's cause, and Shane's already done a fair stint now on those tyres on his car. And you can see just a little glimpse in the background there that Tander's managed to just hold sway over Shane Van Gisbergen to stay out of jail, as it were.
Lee Holdsworth's been in the meantime in the Preston Hire Commodore. He's heading back out. Will Davison is in the lane now in car 9. Here comes the BOC entry.
Warning on the dash, but
Okay, Brody, go into the box, please. We're going to do a radiator change here. Sorry about this.
Oh, did he say a
radiator change? Radiator change, car 8.
You're kidding me. What a nightmare.
Yeah, guys, just an update on Scotty McLaughlin. He's very despondent, as you could well imagine. Power steering issue in that car, and it's up on its double jacks. It's not going anywhere in a hurry, as the team actually now is back out in the pit lane getting ready for David Wall to arrive. So a very disappointing day for the S60 crew after putting that car on the front row.
He absolutely went toe-to-toe with Shane Van Gisbergen in qualifying. There was nothing in it between those two guys. It was a superb performance from Scotty. What a shame for the Gary Rogers Volvo squad. What a crowd we've got here. On course for record crowds. That's what they're saying.
Rick Kelly's in from second.
Hurkacz chalking up some good sectors as well. In 11th place in car 222. Car 1.
And you've got a clear pit lane. You'll be good to go when you drop, mate.
So what have they done with tyres here? Did they rotate?
Still clear, you're good to go. Straight to the fast lane, go, go, go.
Yeah, so they've rotated them, they've moved them around the car, so they are going to go for recycled soft tyres on car 15. Just make a mental note, keep that in the back of your mind for strategy for tomorrow, and that's what the whole pit lane will be doing. They'll watch the lap speed of this car now.
We've got rotated tyres, mate, rotated tyres, so it might take a couple of laps for it to come right again.
There you go.
Bit of potential traffic. No, you should be clear. We're in P2. We're in P2. 37 laps remaining. 37 laps.
So they'll be warm, but they've been repositioned. They get a wear pattern in them, and when you rotate them, when you first go out, you've got to be a little bit careful until you get an understanding of how secure the car is beneath you, how much grip you've got. But we'll just keep a little watching brief there on Rick Kelly, who's been very strong today.
He's had a race win here on the Gold Coast before. Rico back in 2006. Championship winning year. Let's have a look at this.
Yeah, so watch for the dance. Here we go, the rotation. That's an important little story, that one. So they chose, unlike the majority of the field, to manage a soft tyre stint in the middle of the race and now recycling. How's the front of this thing?
How come you didn't do your Benny Hill music there before? That's what you did the last time we saw a rotation.
It's got about 20 kilos of race tape on the front of it at the moment. So Jamie in that car, walking wounded. So this little battle here involves, well, both the HRT cars are involved in it really, because Courtney's in front of Slade, who's in front of Tander. There they are.
Slade holds down 9th position at the moment. Tander chasing with the lights on. It's the Kiwi, Van Gisbergen, leading the way by 38.3 seconds at Surface Paradise. They've done a super job there so far at the Techno team this weekend. Even throughout qualifying, you could hear Shane's confidence on the harder tyres. Back to the future entry of Russell Ingall, and Cam Waters comes in 16th position.
Coming up on 5. Clear out when you drop.
Also Chris O'Toole at the front. Oh, 34, David Wall.
In the wall. And this might be that safety car. He
can't
get it out there. No, he might be able to drag it out. Drivers were reminded in the driver briefing notes to be very familiar with how to grab reverse around here. It's a very important but simple thing.
I thought he said on the radio, then I got turned around. I want to hear that again.
And they reacted because they thought there could be a safety car.
I'm not sure if it was X-Box, the other one.
They had margin, they had fuel margin here, but they've got flexibility, so they've sacrificed it. They're confident they can run from here.
Into the box. Remember to leave the car in neutral. Should be about 20 odd seconds.
Now the next car that's done its second stop here is Rick Kelly. So it's Van Gisbergen versus Rick Kelly. James Moffat and Tim Blanchard are yet to do their second stops.
Just holding for fuel. 8 seconds. Should be clear to go when you drop. Just holding for fuel. Hold for fuel. You're clear, you're clear, you're clear.
Todd Kelly's also come through the lane. Nice, smooth, calm stop for the Techno team.
Remember, he had margin in hand here.
Okay, mate, you're set to go to the end of the race here. There is no mention of a safety car, no mention of a safety car. I'll call you out on the track. Caution for Jamie, caution for Jamie.
Now remember that Gizzy's on a fresh, soft tyre. Rick is on a used soft tyre. And Rick is up to his neck in crocodiles at the moment.
Reynolds makes the move by, and here comes Craig Lowndes as well. Outside on the run to one. Lowndes can't complete the mission. 55 is through. And in the meantime, James Courtney in car 22, right in the mix here. Reynolds has the fastest lap of the race, a 1:11.94, and he's pulled clear. He's bolted. Look at this.
There's no doubt that Craig Lowndes is going to grab Rick Kelly here. He's got pace, and this second stint on the soft tyres is going to prove to be pretty hard work here for Rick, I reckon. So the only car remaining to do its second stop is Tim Blanchard, who's actually leading the race at the moment. How's this little pack here? These fellas are all for position.
Just keeping in the back of your mind what you said before in relation to tyres for Kelly for tomorrow.
Well, everybody will be up and down the lane just considering what the implications of that are, because a lot of people were talking about it pre-race as to what you may or may not have been able to do with your tyre strategy for these races. Played a little gambling game at Jack Daniels Racing. Meantime, Tim Blanchard, by the way, has come into the pit lane in the Cool Drive Racing entry. So that reveals Shane Van Gisbergen in the lead. So Reynolds second, and then this mighty battle that's going on here. It's Rick Kelly, Craig Lowndes, James Courtney, Tim Slade, Garth Tander. A little further behind is Nick Percat. Then it's Will Davison, Fabian Coulthard, Lee Holdsworth. That covers off the first 10 or so cars. Lowndes continues to apply pressure to the back of Rick Kelly. He's going to have to work hard for this one. Up towards turn number 11, and on the charge is Craig Lowndes at the moment. He's in 4th place. And remember that Rick Kelly's on recycled soft tyres. Meantime, Van Gisbergen's been in. They reacted to what he thought may have been a safety car for David Wall, who ended up parked up on the outside of the road, but he did manage to grab reverse. So he got a little bump and grind, and it was actually Reynolds that sent him into the wall there. They reacted at Techno, brought car number 97 in, but David was able to get the Volvo back out, and therefore it didn't happen. But they had margin on their side. That is, Techno Autosports had margin on their side. On go the soft tyres. Nice, shiny new soft tyres. The car will be massively gripped up for him, and he's just strolling home. But this little battle going on here at the moment is an absolute scorcher. That involves Rick Kelly, Craig Lowndes, and James Courtney's on the left-hand side of the screen. Here comes Lowndes, and he's getting agitated. He's swiping across the rear of the Nissan at the moment, trying to find a way through.
Great job, Rick Kelly. He resists the pressure from Lowndes and holds on. Meantime, Reynolds has been able to establish 2.5 seconds. The buffer, there he is, look, disappearing in the distance. That's why Lowndes wants to get on with this. Van Gisbergen leads by 6.6 over Reynolds. Then it's Rick Kelly and this whole group here, including Craig Lowndes, James Courtney, and Garth Tander.
Yeah, there's just exchanging stickers. There's no really easy way of trying to get past anybody up there until you're well and truly alongside the car. Back to live pictures, Coates Hire Chopper. This is the run down the Gold Coast Highway. Lowndes again trying every trick in the book to figure out a way by. He can't get too adventurous, because if he ends up hanging out of the concrete, he gives away what's going to be a very advantageous day in the championship battle. He skates down the inside. Rick is driving the wheels off this thing, trying to keep him at bay at the moment. And now Lowndes goes up the inside. They are almost neck and neck. This is going to be decided by an eye blink when they get to the critical moment, and Lowndes has got position. In fact, Rick just fanned the throttle then and decided that he was a shot bird and made it a little bit easier. But he's also being attacked by Courtney, and also in this game here is Tander. Up the inside goes the HRT car. So all of a sudden, Kelly drifts. Tander's going to grab him as well, and possibly Slade in the next couple of corners. It's not quite done yet for Garth Tander. He pulls back in and tries the crisscross.
I reckon Tander had a moment at the chicane there in the background before. He's been able to clear in recent laps Tim Slade, but something happened at the chicane while he was battling Courtney. Oh, contact there with the Nissan. Has that hurt car too?
That was awkward. That'll be, in both cars there, a pretty significant bump. 30 laps to go in this race.
It's lively, isn't it?
Always is round here. Courtney through on the ailing Jamie Whincup.
Nick Percat closing in the background there too. He's up to 8th place. We've seen some good lap speed from Percat in the last 10 or 15. Let's have a look here. This is Tander.
Yeah, he was going to drill the back of his teammate's car there and just decided to go straight ahead. And we were fixated on the battle ahead because it was all going on further up the field. So now Garth Tander assembles his thoughts once again and has another go. Last time when they got to the final corner, they managed to interlock wheels. Jim Slade's got a bird's eye view. He's in 7th at the moment. And then Nick Percat. And that little team has been doing an outstanding job this year. Repair Management Australia, Lucas Dumbrell Motorsport, car number 222, sharing with the international Englishman Oliver Gavin. Whincup just gets out of the way in the number 1 car. 6.7 seconds is the gap. Van Gisbergen over Reynolds.
I was going to say, I wonder if they'll be visiting Dr. Carl Lee tonight. No doubt they will. But so far, our guys nursing the rib injuries. No dramas, it seems, for James Courtney pressing on in 4th place. And we've seen some good sectors from Scott Pye. He's not in the 10, but that number 17 does look fast. Currently 12th place, chasing Lee Holdsworth.
28.5 seconds from the lead, Scott Pye. See the difference in mid-corner and braking performance here between Rick Kelly and Garth Tander. Rick's having to use more of the road. He's got a little less grip available. This is going to help Nick Percat's cause this little bottleneck in front at the moment. That'll draw him into this battle. This is where Tander tried to sneak up the inside several laps ago and they interlocked momentarily. New personal best lap on that last lap for Shane Van Gisbergen. 1 minute 12.3041 for the Kiwi. It's a cracking shot, isn't it? How's the pace? They can't see turn 1 from that vantage point. They open up the radius of the corner by starting out wide on the left side of the road. Back to turn 4. Tander on Rick Kelly. Rick's on older tyres.
Percat continues to get closer. 1:11.97 from Percat, and they're in the 12s, these guys up in front, so it's helping the LD Motorsport driver. Impressive from Rick. He may not have the speed of some of the guys once they get by him, but he's making life really tough. Good racing from Rick Kelly. Used to be teammates, these guys, back in the HSV team days. Garth Tander and Rick Kelly. Van Gisbergen's lead is 6.6 seconds. Courtney, good sectors from James Courtney in car 22, and haven't these guys been impressive today? Alex Davison, aggressive at the start, did a super job here in car 9, and Will Davison's continued it. 9th place at present for Erebus and Penrite, and we learned last night that Will leave this team early. An early leave from contract, and then it was confirmed that he will be joining Techno, the team that our race leader currently drives for in 2016. So lots happening off track as well. Eddie Klemenko to the right of your screen. Centre is young Jack LeBrock. And then Alex Davison on the left as car 8 rejoins Jason Bright. The Team BOC entry. But it's Van Gisbergen leading the way from Reynolds. Rick Kelly holds down 5th, but there are plenty chasing him here on the Gold Coast. So Fabian Coulthard is 10th for the Freightliner team. Here's our race leader.
He's creeping away ever so slowly at the moment. He's got pace in hand at the moment, Greg, so he's just managing these tyres. A couple of laps ago, personal best. Meantime, look at this. He's done 42 laps now on these soft tyres, Rick Kelly. He's punishing them. He's going to be in real strife at the back end of this race on these tyres. Still a long, long way to go. Bottom left-hand side of your screen, you can see where we're at in the lap complexion of this race. So Tander tries to sneak down the inside. Remember I said just a little while ago that this will all be good news for Percat. It is. He's right on the back of this little battle train at the moment.
Like Scotty McLaughlin there that they were just sneaking by on the back straight leading to the chicane. So 33 haven't seen back out there, but down in 22nd place. Slade is in 7th. Look at Percat now with these guys right on Slade's hammer.
So Tander just sending a little wake-up call, put his signature on the rear bumper of the Nissan there for Rick, just to say hi. And if he's patient, Garth Tander, it's probably going to get handed to him relatively easy. But when you're in the hot seat, patience is not something that necessarily is your first thought.
Craig Lowndes, fastest lap of the race so far, 1:11.72. Have you guys ever been patient? And then James Courtney, a personal best lap from him in car 22. He's in the background there. So this is, with just less than 25 to go, going to get very exciting. Percat, who will blink here on the run down to the chicane? Percat gets the nose in front, gets it done, and moves ahead of Slade to 7th.
Ooh, I tell you, I was going to say Nick's going to struggle to get through there, and in fact he did. So he missed the second portion of the chicane, went straight over the traffic island. Down the inside goes Tander. Will he be able to stop the car? Yes. Now Rick's got to do 24 laps on these tyres, so he'll have to move from racy aggression to survival mode any tick of the clock just to get some points. Percat's getting into this game big time, isn't he?
100%. I'm just going to say Cameron Waters is out of sync here, but he's running with these guys.
Just nice and smooth and straight. Just nice and smooth and straight.
This releases both Courtney and Tander into 4th and 5th behind Reynolds and Lowndes. Gap's just shrunk slightly between Van Gisbergen and Reynolds, both recent winners on the Gold Coast. Percat looking now down the inside. That's not going to stick there. Need to be right up the inside, otherwise the margin closes down.
Meantime, Craig Lowndes looks like he's within 1.8, 1.9 of David Reynolds now for 2nd place. Let's keep an eye on Craig Lowndes. Car 888. This enthralling battle continues. Kelly trying to survive on those tyres for 24 laps. Nick Percat looks aggressive, looks hungry. Garth Tander's been able to clear Rick Kelly. Now Nick Percat makes the move and gets on with it as well. Tim Slade is the next of the attackers. So Tander is up to 5th. Nick Percat moves by the Nissan up into 6th.
And with clear air, Tander's immediately done his 2 first sectors faster than any other time in the race.
Cam Waters behind has knocked the position.
So Tim Slade just being informed what the situation is there at the moment by Jason Bush on the radio. Don't worry about car number 6. Remember they had a wheel spinning infringement in pit lane drive-through penalty as a result of that for Russell Ingall and Cam Waters. There's their silver car in the background. Now Percat ideally positioned on the racing line on the run to the fast chicane, but had to poke it in there so deep, and look at that lunge, carried so much speed, couldn't actually manage it out the other side, otherwise that would have been bits scattered from one end of the racetrack to the other. And then finally down at turn 12, Garth Tander gets through on Rick Kelly, who's now done a lot of laps on those soft tyres, those recycled soft tyres, and he's really got to try and manage those now for the last 20 or so laps.
Just an update on the points. You talked about it prior to the race. It was 399. If things stay the way they are now, Lowndes shaves nearly 100 points off it, moves to 303. Mark Winterbottom still our series leader. He is 24th in this race.
Tander, new personal fastest lap of the race, 1:12.1. So 3 very speedy sectors then as soon as he's been released. Actual fastest lap of the race has been achieved by Craig Lowndes, 1:11.7. He did that 7 laps ago.
Well, guys, just an update on car 8. They've managed to replace the radiator. The one that came out of the car is down here now. There was a decent hole right down here where a stone has gone in, and even without the pressure from the coolant system before, there was a strong stream of water coming out of that hole down there. They've done an awesome job to actually replace that, get car 8 back out. He was very disappointed, Jason Bright. The car on those soft tyres was looking like it was going to be very, very fast.
Yeah, frustrating. And they're built... Oh, look at this. Bit of trouble here on screen. We'll come back to the radiator story. Thanks for the update there, Murph. It involves Will Davison. Also on screen here at the moment is Slade and Fabian Coulthard. Will's on the radio. New fastest lap for Van Gisbergen. Got the margin back out to 7 seconds now.
Front tyres destroyed.
He's just knocked out a 1:11.6. That was Will Davison's voice.
Nurse at home if we can. Nurse at home if we can. We've got a big gap behind. Big gap to the car behind.
View from on high here. Trying to pull up car 9.
Yeah, Slade did a good job there to manage that one, and that had all the potential for a couple of cars at least to get tangled up in that, and he carried that lock brake for a long time. So you heard Will say, I've destroyed it. Luke Mason, his engineers, encouraging him to try and get home on it. But if it's really violently shaking in the cockpit of that car, they'll need to sort that out. Bit of a shame seeing that he's well inside the top 10 and on for some decent points.
Chad Naylon, who's with us here in the commentary box, just crunching some numbers at the moment on the Pertec Enduro Cup 2. We'll come back to you on that, but it looks like it's really closed things up heading into the final race of this year's Cup tomorrow. So Winterbottom did have a handy buffer, and Owen coming into this one. They've had a tough day on the streets of Surface. Back to this battle. Fabian Coulthard, 9th. Tim Slade in 8th. Lead still 6.3 seconds. Van Gisbergen to Reynolds. 1 second further back to Lowndes. 1.3 back to Courtney in 4th.
No surprise, Will's talking about a massive vibration in car number 9. Coulthard on Slade here. Does he get it done? No, but it'll stop him from just rat-a-tat-tatting on the rear bumper. 3 for yes and 2 for no. They're about 25 seconds from the lead at the moment. Van Gisbergen just sent a signal to everybody with that fastest lap, and then Kelly just straight lines. He's in a spot of bother, isn't he? So 19 laps remaining. .12.6 on the last lap there for Van Gisbergen.
So here's the updated Pertec standings. What about that? Tander and Luff, Winterbottom and Owen. We've got a way to go in this race yet. Just under 19 laps at the moment. They would be square. Nothing in it going into the final race of this year's Cup tomorrow, and not far off the margin our race leader, Van Gisbergen, either. Awesome.
6.1 seconds. So the margin's just dropped off a little bit there. There could be some traffic playing a role in that as well. This is Lowndes on screen. He's in 3rd. And he's in a live battle here with David Reynolds. Stephen Richards, co-driver to victory at Bathurst 2 weekends ago. And Will Davison just sorting out whether or not he needs to get racy with Lee Holdsworth. Van Gisbergen just advised that there's 18 to go, and also being advised that Lowndes is the fastest car on the track. 6.3 seconds the gap. Coulthard down the inside of Slade on the replay at 4.
Here's another look at it. This is the perspective from car 47 from Slade. Good work through the chicane by the Freightliner Commodore, and the Kiwi goes up the inside. They said before this weekend, the Brad Jones Racing guys, that this had been a bogey circuit for them, but things definitely better in 2015 for that team. Coulthard is currently in 8th place. Some dramas for the BOC Commodore, admittedly, but that's good for the Kiwi so far.
Less than a second now.
Safety car boards and flags, safety car boards
Safety
and
car.
flags, safety car scramble.
Race director has called the scramble at the safety car. 0.8 of a second it was between second and third.
Sounded like debris on circuit turn 1.
Yeah, they've just confirmed to Nick Percat on the radio that there's something on the racetrack that's been spotted. Debris at turn 1. And race director Tim Schenken just confirming that they'll be looking for car number 97. So all of that handy little margin has disappeared, but remember he's got of the key runners, the youngest soft tyres in the race at the moment. Michael Caruso's come in.
Piece of metal there or something.
Yeah, there's something that's sitting at right angles to everybody down there. So quick shout out to all of our volunteer marshals, corner workers and everybody involved in the safety management of the complex. Just hundreds and hundreds of people give up their time to make the race meeting run smoothly. They do an awesome job. It's down there in the turn 1 complex earlier in the day. Oof. Need to get that clear. And the reason for the safety car is to secure the field, get everybody's speed arrested, and the marshals can safely intervene. So the Lexus RCF safety car grabs the field. There's the view from the leader's perspective.
A piece of metal, you'd have to worry about it damaging a tyre or something, wouldn't you? So no wonder they want to clear it quickly. So Lexus RCF safety car bunches the field up here. Van Gisbergen is your race leader. We have less than 18 to go.
And more than any other location that we visit at this place, safety car breeds safety car. So you get an incentive because all of a sudden that guy that was the elusive 3, 4, 5 seconds up the road, the rear wing of his car's tantalisingly close to your nose, which means that you get all the incentive in the world to have a crack. And unless you've got at least half the car alongside, often just doesn't work out here.
Don't leave us, whatever you do. This will be a cracking finish. These guys, Neil talked about the work they do. They're passionate about this event as well. They were all terrific when we arrived here at the track this morning. Always, you know, happy, bright, good morning. Can't wait to go racing.
They've got the best seat in the house.
Haven't they?
And but there's some great motor racing enthusiasts that not only use all of their skill and knowledge at this racetrack, but all of the others that we visit as well.
Back down to Murph in the pit lane.
With the introduction of Car of the Future back at the beginning of 2013, brought a raft of technical changes, and none so more important than the driveline. So here, using our Wilson Security in-cam V8 Supercar, we're going to expose the driveline and have a bit of a chat about it. So we're going to rip the body off this car and expose what is underneath. Right at the start is the heartbeat of a V8 Supercar, the 5-litre power plant, circa around 650 odd horsepower. The trick is getting all that power down to the back of the car to drive those rear wheels. At the back of the engine is the clutch as normal, but after that we've got what we call a coupler. A shaft comes out of the clutch, goes into the coupler, and that joins the prop shaft, that big long steel tube that goes all the way down to our Albans transaxle. Inside the transaxle is our gearbox and our diff, so that's a big change from what we used to have. The prop shaft, very, very important part of this whole driveline system. It needs to be perfectly straight. We've heard teams talk about vibrations in the past, driveline vibrations, and a big part of that is the alignment of that big shaft going from the coupler all the way down to the transaxle. That needs to be perfectly straight. Once all that power has got into that transaxle, the big trick then is to get it out to the rear wheels and get the geometry of the setup just right to please the driver so he can do his job perfectly. So we see a lot of changes going on in the geometry, the dampers, the suspension, the A-arms, all those kinds of things to transfer all that horsepower right at the front, down to the back end, get it to the track and provide performance. That is one of the trickiest parts to do with one of these V8 Supercars, is to transfer that power and make it work perfectly.
King of Pukekohe, Honorary Mayor of Auckland, Brett Murphy there. And we should remind you, our next stop on the tour, a lot of the containers are here ready for the flyaway event, the ITM 500, next in a fortnight.
Stephen Richards, 15 laps remaining, one safety car. This is just spicing it all up for everybody.
Yeah, it's nothing like that late race safety car to bunch everyone up and cause even more safety cars. So see what the boys go. But Craig seems in pretty good shape here. He's got slightly better stopped slightly later than a couple of guys. Obviously, Giz has got some pretty fresh tyres.
Fingers crossed for you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
On that topic, his tyres, Shane Van Gisbergen, are 6 laps younger than David Reynolds. out of sequence somewhat there. Car triple one
Green flag.
is Andre Heimgartner from the green flag reference. They can overlap, but they can't pass before the control line. Gizzy's bolted. He's got a little bit of extra margin because of that car buffer there. And we're back into it.
You'd have to imagine, too, the message to the Super Black guys will be not to make life difficult for David Reynolds. They all come through the chicane for the first time after the restart. Look at Percat. Oh, was there a touch there with the HRT Commodore, and around goes Slade. Contact with the sister entry. Look at the damage to the front of Lee Holdsworth's Commodore.
Lowndes having a big crack here at Reynolds while the opportunity exists, and they're so close. Thought about it. Great disappointment, unfortunately, there for Tim Slade. Look at the damage on Lee's car. So both of those vehicles from Walkinshaw Racing damaged. Contact again between the HRT cars. That was triggered by Heimgartner. It's on again between the HRT cars. Tander down the inside. That was all brought about by Heimgartner, who's a lap down.
Wow. That'll be an interesting debrief afterwards. So it's on there between the HRT guys, and Tander gets by. Percat looks racy in the background as well. So Tander to fourth, Courtney to fifth. Van Gisbergen leads the way by 1.3. And look at this battle here. Lowndes versus Reynolds. Lowndes having a look.
So close. Makes us gasp in here. So Craig trying to do all of the work in this just early restart phase. And that's when others are often at their most vulnerable, just while the tyre pressures are down, the temperatures have cooled out somewhat. And he knows that that's a great opportunity to pounce if possible. But it's a very, very narrow window. So no surprise that there was trouble down at the hairpin at the restart. It's a time-honoured tradition down there. Meantime, Van Gisbergen's already opened up some margin over Reynolds.
Hey mate, the boys are getting stuck into each other, and JC hasn't got a championship to lose. What do you reckon's going to happen?
I don't know, mate. I want to both bring it back. Look, it's not good enough. We need to be doing a better job for the team, and running into each other, it's not helping either of them. GT's he's in the hunt for the Pertec Cup, so we've got to look at that. I don't think you've got that
to worry about. Courtney's on the radio screaming he's going to take him out. What's going to happen when he gets to his bumper?
Well, I don't know what's going to happen out there, but when they come back, they're going to get the reds bang together.
I don't think that's going to help. You've tried that before, mate.
You're going to have to do it again, but a bit harder, mate.
Yeah, I might have to get a crowbar.
Pardon?
You might have to get a crowbar.
Don't worry, they'll get one.
Or a fine. Maybe you could fine them, internal fine. That'd hurt them.
That'd help. That'd help the budget.
Yeah.
Pay them a bit less.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty fired up Adrian Burgess. That gives you a sense of what it's like internally there. But the move by Tander on Courtney has secured him the lead in the Pertec Enduro Cup, so it was significant.
There was a big concertina nose-to-tail thing here. Coulthard was involved in it, and Rick Kelly. I think really for Lee Holdsworth, there was nowhere to go. He wasn't directly involved in rotating Slade as such. It was an after effect. Oh, look at that. How's that for the closing rate there down at turn 4? Bang. Huge contact. Whew. And Courtney just blazing up too, and I think actually shifting that wall temporarily there as well. Bits of rubber flying. Remember, the soft tyres on these cars make a lot of marbles as well late in the day.
Back to the battle for second. Look at the body language from Reynolds' car. He wrestles the 55 through the chicane. Now to the hairpin, Craig Lowndes. 2/10 quicker in terms of the fastest laps we've seen from these guys. Lowndes with the edge, and he's pressing on here in car 888. Won't get through at this point.
Tander's not terribly far from this too, so if there's any slip from these two guys, then Garth Tander will buy in here as well. Lowndes on maximum attack. David trying to keep his eyes forward, manage his own race. Shane Van Gisbergen with a comfortable little cushion at the moment of 2.2 seconds, but cannot relax.
Great work done by the Techno team as well, right across the weekend so far. That's a good race car. It was a good qualifying car. He has a 2.2 second lead over Reynolds and Lowndes, who you're riding with now.
So So this is what happened at turn 11. Heimgartner's a lap down. Courtney tries to round him up. Garth sees an opportunity, so there's then an exchange between them.
Car 9, taking 47.
And that's
flag, pit lane penalty for car 9.
car 9, pit lane drive-through penalty for the incident down at the hairpin. Meantime, here we go with live pictures again. Craig Lowndes on David Reynolds.
Will Davison was in the top 10. Erebus Motorsport, who won, of course, in WA.
Lowndes is fighting for a championship. Reynolds is fighting for survival. He's looking at the moment for an opportunity in 2016. It's not been confirmed as yet. And the battle of the championship, you've got Lowndes in 3rd place at the moment, Mark Winterbottom in 24th.
With a pretty despondent Lee Holdsworth, he probably didn't realise what had gone on, minding your own business down there at that restart. As we've seen before, safety cars producing carnage on the circuit.
Yeah, I don't know what was happening. I mean, like I said before, we were sort of salvaging something out of, quite a bad qualifying. So we were in for a shot at top 10. The restart came and got a good jump on Prix, and then got a good run out of turn 1 chicane, and thought I might have a lunge at Davo. I saw him go for the move on Slady, so I pulled out, and then all of a sudden he was dead stopped, and obviously ran Slady off the road and nowhere to go. Caved the nose in pretty bad.
Yeah, it's not good. Hey, Seb, it's been a few years since you've been here. You've gone so good here in the past, and we're trucking along quite nicely at the start after, as Lee said, not the greatest qualifying, but you were going all right.
Yeah, no, we had a solid run. I think the car was a little better in race trim, and I think we made a couple of changes that seem to have helped the situation. So hopefully we'll be back stronger tomorrow, but for sure, starting 17th, we're close to a top 10 finish, which was pretty satisfying. The train was really slow in front of us at the beginning of the race, so we lost a lot of ground, but we're still in contention, so I guess there's hope. That's a shame that it's going to put a pretty big hit in our hopes of the Endurance Cup.
Well, turn it around tomorrow.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you.
Good first stint by Sebastian Bourdais, and the body language says it all for Lee Holdsworth. 6th they were coming in the Pertec Enduro Cup, that combination.
James Courtney's been shown a bad sportsmanship flag for curb overuse as well. So that if he does another one of those, then he'll end up with a little tour through pit lane. We go back to this enthralling battle between David Reynolds and Craig Lowndes, and there's the HRT guys behind in 4th and 5th. Nick Percat then. We've got Fabian Coulthard, Rick Kelly, who's managed to just find a settled position now inside the top 10, just trying to make sure he gets those soft tyres home that he's double stinted. Can Reynolds survive? Can Lowndes get by?
Margins 2.5 between Van Gisbergen and Reynolds with less than 10 to go. As Neil said before, Reynolds fighting for survival. A lot of people in the paddock worried that when the game of 2016 musical chairs stops, will David Reynolds have a full-time drive? He knows how to win here on the Gold Coast. He wants to be a main player, a full-time racer, and continue that in this series.
Remember I said that Tander's going to play in here because Lowndes can't find a way at the moment. There he is. He's right there, and the box on the graphic a moment ago just told you exactly the progress that he's made. He's drawing James Courtney along with him as well. James has got to really be super careful now to not infringe on the curbs anymore. So he's going to have to take a slightly more conservative approach. And it's not that simple. You've got to be millimetre perfect down there in the first complex, and then again halfway down that back straight.
Guys nursing rib injuries. We've talked a lot about the return to racing for Courtney and the bounce back from Bathurst for Pye. Both of them are in the top 10. Driving on adrenaline. Here comes Tander. Look at him closing in here on Craig Lowndes. There's Dean Canto, top right of your screen. Bottom right is Stephen Richards. Grant McPherson, Roland Dane, team boss there at Red Bull Racing Australia. The squads that are battling for second place in this race.
Three seconds now, the gap from Van Gisbergen to Reynolds. And And then it's next to nothing between Reynolds, Lowndes and Tander.
Tander 3/10 quicker than Lowndes that time through. So the HRT Commodore is closing.
David's car's nice across the top of those very complex curbs down there at 1, 2 and 3. Craig does the customary dive by carrying the brake all the way down to that apex.
He's 20th place here for Dean Fiore in the car that he shares with Michael Caruso in the Nissan. Rick Kelly still battling away in 8th position with that different tyre play by the crew on car 15. Managed to hold a number of them out and retain a top 10 position and try and put himself in a good position rubber-wise for tomorrow potentially. Oh, Lowndes, look at this, Tander as well. Fastest lap of the race belongs to Van Gisbergen at 1:11.6, and the updated standings show you that Tander has moved ahead of Frosty and Steve Owen by 9 points with one race to go. Tomorrow's race in the Pertec Enduro Cup here on the Gold Coast.
So Tander's all but in this battle now, and James Courtney not too far behind. There's going to be a curious discussion inside that garage or out the back afterwards between Tander and Courtney. Adrian Burgess. There was contact between Tander and Courtney at Winton and in Darwin. There was near contact in Townsville. I think the mitigating circumstance in this one, though, is the fact that there was lap traffic in the play. That just makes it a little bit messier because they're both scrambling to try and get position as distinct from necessarily trying to slice each other's throats.
Circumstantial. Tander grab a podium here, maybe. He's looking good.
He's got to get by, though. Craig's just been chewing away at the task, but he hasn't been able to do it because both cars, the green and the blue car, have got strengths and weaknesses in different locations around the racetrack, and Tander will have the same problem as well. In the spots where he makes ground, very often around here, there's not much you can do with it. There's only a couple of places where you can really get a clean pass going. One of them's down at turn 4. Sometimes
he's hit the wall. I reckon, sorry, Compo, I reckon Reynolds hit the wall then with the back left.
Sometimes you can get a pass done at turn 11 as well, but it requires extreme cooperation from the person that you're attacking. And they're coming up into that zone now. Reynolds has had this pressure on him for a long time now.
Maybe it was just a glance, a glancing blow, a bit of a brush as he came through that first chicane.
Let's have a look and see whether there was anything in what happened further down the order here. This is Coulthard, who's actually been just on the radio talking with Phil Keed and making 1 or 2 adjustments to the anti-roll bars. So used a lot of curb down there, Davey. It's a bit hard to say. Certainly was high up on the ramp. There's quite a lot of available ramp for them to run up there. If he did brush it, he got away with it. Look at that nose to tail now. And look where we sit in the laps to go in this race. We're right at the business end, and there's nothing between these guys. Meantime, Shane Van Gisbergen is going to do what he did here exactly the same time last year on the Saturday with Jonathan Webb. Start from the pole and clean up for maximum points. But then trying to resolve who's second and third and fourth in this race, it's going to be toss a coin.
Great work by all of the team at Techno, and particularly those in the driver's seat. Super first stint by Jono Webb.
David Reynolds doesn't have the fastest of these 3 cars, but he's driving it very accurately at the moment. He's using a lot of the racetrack to get the job done. He's using more millimetres than either of the guys behind. And now if you're Craig Lowndes, you need the 360-degree rotation view of what's going on, because he's got to mind his car. He's got to keep an eye on what David's up to. He's got to watch out for a lunge from Garth Tander as well.
Holding Racing Team bunker to the right there. Adrian Burgess in the centre. Behind him, Ryan Walkinshaw. Richo watches on.
Lowndes always looks like he can threaten the way in which he shallow dives to the corner. He is a little bit closer this time. Main Beach Parade through this incredibly wild complex of chicanes and curves. It's a gentle right-hander, and then they land the front of the car square on the brakes. Turn 11's just, it's a nightmare. You can't see around it. It's concrete walls. The camber changes on the road. So easy to make a mistake there.
You're watching two really good athletes, three going at it in the final spot. Well, Reynolds has second at the moment. Lowndes third. Can Tander find a way past? Different strengths from the cars, different strengths from the drivers. Maxed out as they head into that first chicane.
Van Gisbergen on target here for career race victory number 10. But this is a great exchange between these fellas in the battle for second and third. Fighting for podium honour. And Tander's still in this as well. If anybody blinks, anybody slips, it'll get resorted in a hurry. That was our race leader. See the way David just glides the car, sliding the rear of it up next to the wall.
Lowndes closes under brakes at that point. Look at this here. Pye trying to fight, barges his way by Rick Kelly, or at least attempts to at the back chicane. And behind him, James Moffat after that drama early on. Pye, yeah.
That was pretty significant contact there between Rick Kelly and Scott Pye. So 1 lap remaining for the leaders. And it's on down the order here as well. This is a huge battle going on for 8th and 9th.
Our leader has commenced the last lap. 97 has commenced the last lap.
Shane Van Gisbergen, what a performance. It's been a beautiful display from him. He's not won a race in 2015. He's going to do it today. And how good is the quality of this battle between David Reynolds and Craig Lowndes? Mark Winterbottom's had a shocker of a day. ProDrive have had a very difficult day with both their key cars. But David Reynolds is going to fly the flag for them. But it's going to be race victory number 10 for Shane Van Gisbergen and another victory for Jonathan Webb. But an extraordinary battle between Reynolds, Lowndes and Tander.
Final sector of the circuit. It's been a superb drive by Shane Van Gisbergen, and it began with a great stint by Jonathan Webb. This car was good in qualifying, super in the shootout, and he's about to take race 1 on the streets of Surfers Paradise. Reynolds resisting the pressure, intense pressure from Lowndes and Tander, sideways. He was at the World Time Attack last week. He loves his drifting. He is reveling on the streets of Surfers Paradise. You are the man. Van Gisbergen wins race 1. Reynolds holds out for second. And Lowndes home third.
That was amazing. Thanks, guys. Bloody awesome. The little Johnny bits and kids now. Rip it, boy. Rip it.
Look at him go. That's an outstanding drive, Shane Van Gisbergen. Car was awesome. They were pleased and proud in that garage. And there's your podium. Van Gisbergen, Reynolds, who survived by the tightest of margins from Craig Lowndes, and officially it was 1.6 seconds from Shane Van Gisbergen to David Reynolds at the end. A very mature drive under extreme pressure there for David Reynolds.
He did an excellent job. And the debrief will be exciting at HRT. There's lots to talk about there. We should give a shout out to Nick Percat as well in that 222 Commodore for LD Motorsport. He got to 6th. Fabian Coulthard for Brad Jones 7th, and Scott Pye with the rib injuries to 8th.
24th and 25th in the race. Names you wouldn't expect to see. Mark Winterbottom and Jamie Whincup.
Tough day as well for Scotty McLaughlin. Started on the front row in the Volvo. His teammate Alex Premer, they had to change that front splitter. They've ended up 21st. Crowd appreciative of the Kiwi. What's he going to do here? Burnout time.
I think they're shot.
He just loves cars, he loves racing, he loves driving.
Deary me. He's going to have to
Well, I
replace...
can't see nothing, so let me know when I come back up. Copy that, buddy, copy that. You've got problems, that's all I can say.
Like that scene out of Back to the Future with the car takes off.
Mate, I'll let you know when everyone's in pit lane there, you're back.
Getting value for money in the stand up there.
Aren't they?
Look at the inside. He's trying to find reverse and stop. He's going to have to replace the sticker on the front bumper as well.
I'm stuck.
Seriously, Shane.
Can he get this thing going?
Okay, mate, you are now the last car. You are now the last car.
I don't think it's got any rubber left on the back of it, so those rims, you have to be careful, they're not that cheap.
Supercar control.
There must be something there because it's still sending blue smoke. You hear a siren in the background, I think he's going to get arrested.
Okay, buddy, when you come in the pit lane, I want you to come down inside everyone, mate. You got to come down inside everyone.
Great to see. He went through a pretty ropey patch at one stage early in the year, and the rest of the boys are all just waiting for him to arrive on the scene. As he champions de jour, David Reynolds, Craig Lowndes, Dean Canto, Stephen Richards, and we're awaiting the arrival of the flamboyant Shane Van Gisbergen. He'll be joined by Jonathan Webb. Here comes Gizzy.
That'll mean a huge amount to Dean Canto as well. He was a bit flat after Bathurst, after those guys had that car on pole position. It looks strong there. They know how to finish on the podium at the Goldie, but it's the Kiwi, Jono Webb, and the combination of Techno and Darryl Lee that have done it in race one of the Castrol Gold Coast 600. Untouchable in this race. Mega. They need to qualify again tomorrow and another 300 Ks to come, but the blueprint is there, the footprint is there, isn't it?
They had capacity in hand. They flinched at what was potentially a safety car for David Wall that didn't end up happening. And they just played their cards really nicely inside the garage at Techno Autosports. Drove the wheels off the car. Both drivers an outstanding job. Mistake-free, kept a gap, managed their fuel, managed their tyres. Well done.
Shane Van Gisbergen, Jonathan Webb, welcome to the Xbox Victory Lane. Shane, that was a mega drive. Congratulations.
Oh, it wasn't just me. Like, we come in with a 10-second lead. The car was amazing. So to be able to do those times, lap after lap easily, the car was just fantastic. So thanks to the Darryl Lee guys on our team, it was amazing. Thank you.
Jono Webb, as Shane said, you had a ripper start to that race. It was sort of deja vu from last year, pole position to victory.
Yeah, no, it was really, really good. Like Shane said, the boys have done an awesome job. I don't think we've touched the car since it came out of the box on Friday, and just lap after lap, it's just strong. So I was, really happy to give a good lead to Shane, and from there he just carried it on.
Well done, boys. Enjoy those surfboards here at the Castrol Gold Coast 600. Dave Reynolds, Dean Canto. Davey, awesome drive in that final stint. You had so much pressure there and held on to it. Well done.
Thank you. Dino did a fantastic job. Sorry, I'm a bit knackered here. But yeah, I'm really happy, but, I just got to work on the tyre life for the car tomorrow, and there's enough pace in there, I think, overall, but just couldn't hang in there the last sort of 15 laps.
Dean, we spoke to you earlier in the race. There was a bit of a hairy moment at the start of the race, but, Davey did the job at the end, and you did a stellar job at the start of the race.
Yeah, it's pretty good considering we started P8, so we moved up a fair way and we got a surfboard to take home, so happy days.
That's what you wanted. Enjoy the podium. Craig Lowndes, Stephen Richards. Important points for the championship. That's what you needed heading into this race.
Well, we did. I think the main thing was to stay out of trouble and obviously get to the finish line. And Richo did a great job that first stint. A lot of carnage going on, but we put some pressure on Dave, but he drove smart, drove clean, and we just couldn't get by him.
Steve-O, coming off the back of a Supercheap Auto Bathurst 1000 victory to be on the podium again. You boys, you've still got plenty of pace in you.
Yeah, absolutely. It'd be nice to keep doing this until the end of the year, and you never know. Old CL here could be in contention.
Absolutely, we look forward to it. Enjoy surfboards on the podium, boys.
Cheers, thank you.
Thank you.
Mate, James Courtney, first race back since that injury, and it was one hell of a race. There was a lot of going on. You guys did a fantastic job there in the 22. Bit of stuff going on there, but well though during that race, and you lost a spot there with the 111.
Yeah, I don't know what old mate was doing. He was laps down, getting in the way of everyone. So it's yeah, look, it's good to be back. Good to be racing at the front, and not be wobbling around at the back. But guys did a great job with strategy. Jacko did a cracking job, and then yeah, a little bit warm now, and we'll see how we pull up.
How's the body?
Yeah, it feels all right. All the adrenaline's still pumping pretty hard at the moment. So once all that wears off, I suppose we'll see where we're really at. But yeah, I feel fine, mate. I couldn't feel anything in the car. Obviously, it didn't affect our performance. So yeah, pretty happy.
Bit of action there with Garth as well. Obviously, you two making contact a number of times.
Yeah, like we're racing hard with each other, so you know, that's what the fans come to see. We didn't take each other out or anything, but yeah, look, we're working as a team. We've got to get the teams championship, so that was really good for us today. We got a good solid result there. But no, look, it is what it is. We're here to race hard, mate. That's what you guys at home want to see us. You don't want to see us driving around behind each other.
Jacko, mate, another great performance there at the start of that race. Challenging sort of position that you were in with the cars around, but you know, you did a good job.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's qualifying midfield makes it hard, easy to damage the car.
Sorry,
I'm not blaming you, but it's easy to make mistakes and damage the car. I just wanted to give it to James in one piece. It's easier watching, that's for sure.
Back to co-driver mode.
Exactly right, cheers.
The Gears V8, he is on top in the sand on the streets of Surfers Paradise. He wins race one of the weekend in the Castrol Gold Coast 600. Well done. Awesome podium for David Reynolds and Dean Canto. They worked hard for that, and so did our Bathurst champions, Craig Lowndes and Stephen Richards. Tander and Luff, they went close. Courtney battled hard with those rib injuries, and there's a couple of other stories throughout the field. When you look down, that drive-through penalty for Will and Alex Davison after an aggressive drive got those guys in the top 10, and Winterbottom, can you believe it, 23rd. We're set for the podium. Your MC is our Chad Nailon.
It's time for the race 26 podium here at the Castrol Gold Coast 600. In first place for Team Darrell Lee Sticks, Shane Van Gisbergen and Jonathan Webb. In second place, David Reynolds and Dean Canto for the Bottle Racing team. And in third place for Red Bull Racing Australia, Craig Lowndes and Stephen Richards. Representing the Castrol Edge winning team is Ben Lawrence from Team Darrell Lee Sticks. With the trophy for third place is Mayor Tom Tate. With the second place trophy is Diana Hall, the marketing director for Castrol. With the Castrol Edge winning team trophy is Ben Rose, consumer marketing manager for Castrol. And with the first place trophy, Mick DeBrenny, the member for Springwood, representing Premier Anastasia Palaszczuk. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2015 Castrol Gold Coast 600 Race 26 podium.
They love those surfboards, and they've all worked exceptionally hard for them today. So the updated Drivers' Championship standings, it's narrowed by around 100 points. It was 399 coming in. Lowndes closes to 306 in the battle with Mark Winterbottom for the 2015 title. Reynolds not that far off Craig Lowndes in second, and Coulthard, after a good day here on the Gold Coast, moves up to fourth on the ladder. And in terms of the Pertec Enduro Cup, we've of course seen that Garth Tander has moved to the top of the Pertec Enduro Cup, but he has more pressing issues to deal with. It's tense in the HRT garage. Ryan Walkinshaw heads off, so does James Courtney and Garth Tander. As Neil said before, it was a little bit circumstantial what happened in front of them, but the ensuing contact, it'll be a talking point. They survive the race. Tander home 4th. Highlights of race 26 of the championship on the streets of Surfers Paradise. We were worried about rain. We didn't get it. It was a dynamite start for the Enforcer in his new drive with the Pepsi Max crew. Contact early on. What a shame for Taz Douglas and for James Moffat, who'd been able to get into the top 10 shootout. Then this, Dean Canto. Contact with Paul Dumbrell. Damage on car 1. It had been in the top 10 nearly every session all weekend. A brush with the wall for car 22. Jack Perkins at the wheel at that time. This was a story because Alex Premer kept attacking those back curbs, and the subsequent damage to that splitter necessitated a longer stop than normal. McLaughlin would finish the race in 21st place. This was a huge one. Unsafe release. Somehow it didn't hurt Tander's car, but there was damage to Frosty's and a subsequent penalty. 23rd in the race. He was able to limp it back to pit lane, but it's been a dint in the Drivers' Championship and certainly a changing race in the Pertec Enduro Cup. This one. Sweating. Doesn't look like he's sweating there, but he certainly would have been on the inside. Adrian Burgess as his drivers battled away. Contact with David Wall. David Reynolds was in the bottle Ford at the time. Lowndes wanted to get by. He made the message clear. Kelly on a different tyre play, and it made life hard for those behind him. Then this one here, unfortunately, Slade went around in the concertina. Contact there. Will Davison would get a drive-through penalty, and a disappointed Lee Holdsworth, the innocent victim, left with damage to the front of car 18. Bourdais had done a great first stint, and they were looking at another top 10 finish. That combination. Reynolds under pressure for a drive in 2016, resisted, brought the car home second. The Kiwi, his teammate Jono Webb and Techno dominate race 1 here on the streets of Surfers.